Hello, friends. How are you doing this beautiful Sunday? Um, we've got a special guest here from Mass Effect. I don't know anything about Mass Effect. What is his character that it's
Um,
Mars. Mars is in
it's
Mass
Oh,
Effect.
damn,
me.
it's Mars.
JK, it's me. Yeah, no, I promised the people last week I would show up with the helmet, so I had to show up with the helmet. I had to make good on my word.
You did. You have been playing a lot of Mass Effect. Um, I know
I'm
because
reading no comics.
I normally I feel like Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, since we're like talking about like all the books that we love or hate, like I feel like it's been like radio silence between us, and I'm like, Mars is just playing her games.
I literally had to force myself this morning to be like, I need to stop playing the game. I need to read the comics. I have a prior commitment. I could save the universe later. So I did what I had to do.
And we are joined by our friend Josue down here. How's it going, Josue?
Hello. Thank you guys for having me. I'm a fan. I've always been a fan.
Oh,
I remember the day I booked the picture. I'm like, that's Jen from Comics Will Break Your Heart. I had to say something. It's like, hey, Jen, I know we can't be at close proximity, but hi, longtime fan. And then by then, it's like, oh, shit, this is awesome. I actually get to talk with two great people that know and love their shit of comics.
So fun fact, because me and you, we did some stuff previously.
Yes.
And we've been like chill and like talk on the Twitterverse, like, and Jen and you live in the same city, which I am insanely jealous of. And I remember the one day she texted me and she's like, look who I found. And I remember sending her in all caps, holy fuck, you found Josue. And it was just like two of my favorite people on the internet coming together. And I'm like, I just want to be there with y'all, but one day soon.
And we do want to have you back again, Mars and Jen eventually. But it's just like Keith and I just feel like absolute shit because that episode never aired, and it's just like, and again, I also probably for the better because of other bullshit.
Yeah, I won't get into. All works out for a reason.
Yeah, it all works out for better, and it'll be a much better show when we have both of you on again.
Josue, really quick, just a heads up, like we don't cuss on this show.
Oh,
I'm totally just kidding. I'm totally
my
just
fucking
kidding.
bad.
All right. So, really quick, we both go to the same comic book shop every week, and we say howdy to each other. But for everyone in the chat who like obviously doesn't get to see you each week, like what do you do like when you're not hanging out here with us on Sundays, when we're not bumping into each other? You have a podcast where you talk about music, right?
I do. We also have another one where we talk about comics. It's called We Have Issues, but then I host another one called Jukebox Vertigo, and it's super fun. We come together and we just collaborate. The point of the show is we have a rotating theme every week. See, like last week we had B-sides. This next episode we have, oh boy, I'm already so bad at this. I'm not preparing. Well, thank God it's bi-weekly. But the next episode is superior covers. So we have 2 weeks to think about 3 to 4 tracks of like what are our favorite B-sides to an album. We'll make the actual B-sides episode later, or superior covers for the next episode. And then we come together. We present the songs. It's not like we fight over which one's better. I mean, for superior covers, there will be opinions. But I'll make a list down of all the songs, and then I'll make a public playlist so it can be shared and people can also just like enjoy that as well, like on their downtime. And then there's like a master playlist of like all of the songs. There was like a first iteration and it reached up to 598 songs. We were so close to 600 songs for that one. And the reason why I was laughing at superior covers because we had done that episode before. And again, strong opinions, especially when I brought up Keith reminded me that it was me who I didn't fuck up, but I still stand by it. Rocket Man by Me First and the Gimme Gimmes is a much better song than Elton John's Rocket Man.
Oh, those are fighting words.
I'll take my ska cover over the regular one. Okay, you gotta be come on. Even William Shatner did a better job of Rocket Man than Elton John.
Wow,
He's choosing violence this Sunday morning.
Like y'all today.
Yes. That's 100% what we do every single week. So thank you for being here. I'm really excited to like get into comics. I'm gonna first say hello to some people in the chat, and of course some very familiar people. Hello to
look who's here today to hang out with us.
And yes, the channel did finally reach 600 subscribers, so I'm really excited about that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like I
It's
saw
insane.
that we reached 600 this past Friday. When we were on Hero and when I was on Hero and the Kid, we do Comic Talk Live, and then they helped get me up to 600. And I'm going to send Greg, Bearded Comic Bro, a fanny pack that's Super Pro themed, which is like a football comic book. So
Nice.
I'm gonna, weird shit.
Hopefully, I didn't lose any viewers by my by my opinion right back there.
Oh no, I mean, like, I feel like if there was like 1 week where I got like a whole bunch of thumbs down, and I'm like, okay, must have been like the Mutant and Proud, like the queer X-Men show, because people, I don't know, whatever.
Because people.
Hello to Sheena. I know you said that you were working, but thank you for stopping by. I love you so much.
And it's Sunday Comic Church.
Hello. Sunday Comic Church. Go walk your beautiful, beautiful pup. I get pictures from Oregon with their puppy, and it's so cute. Hello, Chip. How are you? Thank you for being here. Simeon. I'm going to try to get through everybody. Hello to Brandon. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, all the stations coming from our comic book hype man, Travis. Thank you so much for being here, nice. John. And then Brian Anderson, thank you so much for being here. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. Real Rude 6, hello. Jennifer and Mars, Sunday morning, let's go. TC, hello, hello. And then hello, Comic Book G-Spot. How are you doing today? Good morning.
We've got such a big crowd already. I'm shaking in my boots.
I know. And we'll definitely, we've got a lot of hot topics to talk about. Takes. Hello, C-List E-Man. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry, I think I lost a couple. I'm going to try to go back. All right. And then hello to Scott. Scott is also another Portland local.
Nice.
Thank you for being here. And then hello, Bobby. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate. I meant to share it, but I haven't yet. But Bobby drew the ketchup kittens.
No!
He drew a picture, and I meant to share it, and I've completely forgot. So I'm going to try to share that a little bit later. Oh, I hope I'm not missing anyone. Anyone else just needs to go ahead and say hello. All right, let's go ahead and. Sorry, I've got like people speed racing next to my apartment. But let's go ahead and talk about this week's comics. I think that we have some got some rather hot opinions on some comics this week.
We start with stinkers.
Man, I feel bad because like my stack is like half read, half unread from what I picked up. And I did pick up a couple back issues.
There's
but
so much.
I know, Mars, you said that you freaking hated everything.
I did. I hated everything. So I don't want to pick anything. I think we should let Josue pick, since he is our lovely guest. Either pick a book you really like or a book you really, really hate.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
There's a book I really just want to get out of the way.
Oh God, I'm ready.
And I love you guys that you guys start with the stinkers. So
yeah,
I'm ready.
Let's get the shit out of the way.
Okay.
All right. First off, I'm gonna yell at both of you for picking up and spending money on it, because yikes. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's like you're reading the book with this, Mars. Like, you just by saying yikes.
Yeah.
It's basically what the narrator says all the time. God, you promised me darkness. More like you promised me information. I'm owed information.
I feel like with this book, and I don't have it right in front of me, but I feel like with this book, man, I was like, maybe I'll give it a second chance. It ended up in my pile, and do you know what's going on? Because I certainly don't.
No, I even went back and read the first one, just be like, okay, maybe if I put them together, I'll piece it better together, And I was reading the first one, I was like, okay, I'm still just as lost as the first time around.
Yeah.
This person's talking to me like I should know this by now, but then talking down to me at the same time. Mm-hmm. Fuck it, let's just jump into the second issue. And it's like, it's told a little better, but still, I don't know what's going on. There's so many factors, so many different parties that are supposed to coming together. But yeah, I don't know. A comic gives people powers, but they don't elaborate on it. The pages are pretty, but that's all it has going for it.
And so this comet like gave people powers, and there's, maybe I missed it, but like there's the talking cat, and the talking cat is talking to the naked woman, or the naked woman is the talking cat. I'm so fucking confused by this, and I really, man, I wanted this book to be so good, and it was so bad. It was so bad.
Like it was coming out around the same time, or it came out like a week apart, even though when I looked it up, they were in the same, supposed to be in the same week. But like Phantom on the Scan was like really good, and it's about like
so good, like similar premise.
Yeah, you get similar premise, comment powers, and like eerie stuff. But in this one, man, I think it's all about. I think it's like really the narrator. Like you're being told the story, and it's supposed to be like, oh, it's just a kooky narrator, like a cool little hook. But it's like you're not presented with enough information or enough stuff to really like hop along with him. It's just like you're following like 3 steps behind him, and it just makes sense of something, just so I can like be there with you, because it is cool. I am intrigued. It's like a flawed ape sapien of a narrator, of like that weird alien that's kind of like talking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It sucks that I'm going to see this book through just so I can like so I'm not wondering what the book was about. In the end, I'll just like, I read it. It was there.
Y'all brought me pain. That's all I'm going to say. Y'all brought me pain by buying this book.
It's not my fault. It's Behemoth's fault for wanting to adapt A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, and then it's like, all right, let's do this. Like,
and that one was so good, and I hate that I feel like I'm comparing it to that book, because A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, and I'll say this, like, I haven't actually watched the movie. Mm-hmm. I've only read the comic book, and I really enjoyed it. It had a very like simple artwork style, and it felt like poetry to me, the way that like the big splash pages of simple artwork combined with like little bits and pieces of text. This is almost similar in that the artwork is simple, but the story is just so wacky and out there. And normally any story described as wacky and out there would be like, I need to read this, and I did not need to read You Promised Me Darkness. So
I know. I definitely agree.
Yeah. I'm really glad that we agree on that, even though we said that I know I said I wouldn't read it, but I picked it up anyways.
Y'all did it anyway. So y'all fools.
Yeah, I am. And it's the second issue, so shame on me.
Yeah.
But I am also a fool. Since we're on the topic of Behemoth, Junkie Cable #1 came out this week, and I was actually like, I forgot that it came out this week, but when I saw it, I got really, really excited, because it's supposed to be about this husband and wife bounty hunter couple going around kicking ass and taking names, and I'm like, okay, this is an on-brand book for me. This book was a big yikes for me. I really like the character designs. I really like the husband and wife together. I think that they are precious. The book immediately kind of starts with them just deciding they're gonna have sex, and I'm like, oh, okay, I vibe with that. I get that. You haven't seen your wife in a while. Let's do that. And then there are these little creatures that come out, and immediately as they are doing the do are like, mommy, I want milk. Let me suck your boobs, mommy. And I'm like, I'm in for that weird shit, but
the butts are coming.
But this is a little weird for me, and like at first I'm like, okay, I'm cool with these types of jokes. Like I talk dirty. I have dirty jokes. Yeah. But then they keep coming, and it stops being funny and starts being passively aggressive annoying. There's also this really weird part where they go into a brothel where all of the weird alien chicks, and there are panels that focus on their boobs and their butts.
Because of course,
but they are literally wearing Slave Leia outfits. Like it's not even an homage to a Slave Leia outfit. It is flat out the color, the design, everything.
Jesus.
And then we meet Janet, queen of the ultra sexy insects, and I'm like, okay, I'm cool with a big booby lady like this. She cute. And then she starts to do some weird freaky stuff, and I'm like, don't like that. And the book literally ends with her wanting to have sex with the couple, and the guy being all for it and the girl being no. And that's literally how the book ends, is just her saying, come on, we have no time to lose. And that's the end of the book. And I'm like, so your cliffhanger is a threesome. And don't get me wrong, threesomes are great. I support that. But that's not a cliffhanger, guys. Like, I
I mean, also not when it's like one party not consensual. It's not like
yes,
it's not a cliffhanger. So this is like the 4th time I've been burned by Behemoth Comics.
Oof.
I think I need to stop picking them up after my pre-orders are done for the next couple months. So
once again, I feel like this could be the case, and I will say this: I picked this book up. I didn't read it, so I'm like flipping through, literally getting like a page by page, like this is what's going on. I feel like this is one of those cases where there's an idea, and it could be a little bit better, but maybe it's just the editor needs to do a little bit more, because the story and the plot seems like it could be interesting if it maybe had more of a plot. And there's some like filthy dumb books that we got that 100%
Money Shot.
Money
and
and
yeah,
fantastic.
Exactly. And there's even
like Money Shot, Sex Criminals. Like we think about any of those sex positive comics that are out there, and this ain't it.
Y'all, I was gonna bring this out later, but I literally bought a book this week.
It only took her 16 minutes to bring it up.
Dick Fight Island. I literally bought a manga called Dick Fight Island, where the premise is that there's a group of men, they all get chosen because they're like the number one champion of their like village or their tribe, and they all go to this island where they have to fight, and the first one to orgasm loses. So like literally that's the premise of this book, but I feel like if you're going to do that story, do it. Does that make sense?
Don't skirt around it. Don't like throw little bits and pieces of it. Go all the way.
Just go all in. Go Dick Fight Island.
Literally.
So I feel like that could just be the case of a lack of an editor, or like maybe not a strong enough editor. Sorry, Behemoth, but
hasn't that been one of our biggest complaints though with a lot of Behemoth stuff, is their lack of editing and their lack of like an actual concise story.
So Real Rude 6 wants to know sex positive book missing out on.
Sex positive books, Safe Sex, SFSX from Image Comics, Money Shot from Volt Comics, Sex Criminals from Image Comics.
Yeah. I'm starting where is it? Sunstone right here.
Sunstone from Image Comics, absolutely. I don't know why that one didn't immediately pop into my brain. Am I missing any? I feel like I'm missing.
It just started, but if you want a new comic, the one we were just talking about, Alice in Leatherland.
Alice in Leatherland, yes. Alice in Leatherland is another really nice sex positive comic. So
I would also, and I am now a very big fan because of the local comic book shop that we go to. Books with Pictures, any book published by Smut Peddler.
Yes,
100%. And they do some really fun, like they did Patience and Esther, which is like a queer Victorian romance, very smutty but very wholesome. They also did My Monster Boyfriend, which is basically an anthology of like people getting fucked by their monster boyfriends, and Sex Machine, which is robots, and they're all anthologies, and I really do love them because they're
Smut Peddler is really
Smut
great.
Peddler, I would say, I very much highly enjoy. So
I freaking love that Books with Pictures has that section in their store too.
Yeah, they do. There's a couple other people in the chat that I want to say hello to. So hello to Jay here.
I'm doing Josue's thing now. Oh no.
And Sex Criminals, 100% a great book. Hello, John. Thank you for being here. I hope that it's just, I know like you popped in, it seems like right when we start talking about the sex positive books, and man, thank you for being here. And then hello to Rod the Rican. Holy coconuts. Comic Toby, you buy the comic books, I pay the Wi-Fi. Let's see here. Okay.
Should be a great rap line at one point.
You buy the comics, I pay for the Wi-Fi. I do like that.
Like you've got the looks and I've got the brains. Let's make lots of money. Who is that?
It's Pet Shop Boys.
Pet Shop Boys. Thank you. All right. So, Mars, any other book that you didn't like this week? Or I know you said that there weren't a ton.
More like there's a book that I liked this week.
Yes.
Maybe we should just talk about this one from Aftershock.
Ooh, cool.
The Silver City.
I was supposed to go back and get this one. my co-host was telling me about it. And I was like, oh, pretty interesting. And there's something about Aftershock
Okay.
info pages, like that first page, like the layout that we just love.
Oh yeah. Oh, Aftershock. Their design work with their comics, I think, is some of my absolute favorite things that they do, and they've been doing that since the beginning. And they always tend to add really, really cool infographics at the end as well. So, like for example, with We Live, we got the really cool Fallout splashes. With Nuclear Family, we got to see the How to Spot a Communist. With this one, it's like we get diary entries, which I think are kind of interesting, but I feel like also don't mix with the idea of an afterlife. So for those of you that don't know, Silver City is supposed to be a book about a group of people, or I guess when you die, I guess it's everybody, because everybody dies, varying between life and death, and to, I guess, what they would call it as the Silver City. I think it's really interesting that we're getting a lot of books like this lately. So, like, think about it. We got like Carmen right now. We have Many Deaths of Layla Starr, and now we have Silver City. So I feel like 2021 is just like the year where we're all going to explore death, and we're going to explore ferrying to death.
Which is cool.
Yeah. That being said, I did not like this book.
I read this book, and I thought when I first started reading it, I was like, okay, because they're at an airport, right? And all of a sudden there's this like mass casualty event, and then they're like, everyone basically in the airport dies. Spoiler alert, this happens on page like 2 or 3. And then it's like, okay, everyone, this way is Silver City, let's all go. And they're like, wait, what's going on?
It was too fast.
It was too fast. And I feel like at first when I was reading it, I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting that they're literally like dropping the bomb on the first page. But I really feel like, like we were mentioning, the pacing. I feel like if that bomb was dropped at the end of this issue, I would want to pick up issue 2. But because I feel like I already understand the premise of this, I don't think I'm going to go back and pick up issue 2, which is sad because I love Aftershock comics. Like, there's so many good ones. At least there were maybe at the latter half of last year and the beginning of this year, but I'm not feeling this. I didn't feel the Girls from Dimension 13, which came out last week, but
Oh yeah.
It was just way too rushed. It was like, we're thrown into Silver City. We're not given any exposition. We're not given any backgrounds into the characters. So we can't even feel for the characters when they die. Yeah. And there's one point where the boyfriend and the girlfriend get separated while they're hugging each other, but we never see them dragged apart. It's just like, oh, I can't reach you. Oh, you're over here now. I'll find you at some point. And I'm like, that makes zero sense. Why was that done? Yeah. So again, it's one of those books where I absolutely love the premise. It needed to be executed 1,000 times better.
100% agree. I feel like there was you said that you didn't pick this one up.
Oh, me? Yeah, no, I couldn't get Silver City. Silver City? Yeah.
Silver City. Yeah. There were 2 other Aftershock books that I did read this week. One being Project Patron, which is, I thought was a pretty cool like first issue. This issue is number 2. I didn't love it as much as I loved the first one. Did you pick this one up, either of you?
This one I did pick up, and you're right. Like the first issue was very strong. It was like I like it was a different premise, like a Superman that died, and just like let's just like rework it and like pilot it.
Yeah, like it's literally like the avatar of this like Superman, and it's almost like government conspiracy theory where it's like the people can't know that there's multiple people operating the superhero, and I can't even remember what their name is, but
I can't the actual superhero, right? Yeah. But I like that they actually have like a different team. Like they actually have a team, or what would be a superhero team with all their powers in their own respective fields, but they just incorporate that, and like depending on what the situation is needed, they'll pilot that suit instead. And it's like it's almost like the people never know who the real Superman is because it's always like a different personality.
And there's something that hasn't been explained fully yet, but they've put like little crumbs here in this book. But there's if you're one of the people who's operating the superhero avatar thing, you lose part of your life, or there's something that like takes away something
Oh
in your
yeah,
life.
like your life expectancy for sure starts dwindling since like
Starts
you're being a Superman.
Yeah, so they haven't, I mean, maybe they haven't, I just missed it, but I feel like there's something there, but it's almost not enough for me to want to go back. Like they haven't given me enough crumbs of mystery to be like, ooh, I
Hmm.
need this.
Well,
Um,
yeah, that bit is really only emphasizing like on the one guy, like the oldest guy
yeah.
that's been running it. So it's only him that's kind of dealt with that part. But yeah, it's only the second issue, and it's just kind of like we're just going into like the mystery of what's been going on.
Yeah. Um, it is written by Steve Orlando, who I really appreciate. It's hard for me to separate this book and Commanders in Crisis
Oh,
because
okay.
it's basically superheroes in different dimensions, like, and all of the superheroes are presidents. So it's like in this universe, you've got a president who is like the first president of color, and then you've got the first female president, and but they all end up combining forces in a different universe to help save the universe. So I felt like um those two ideas and then this could have easily been mashed together,
Hmm.
but Steve Orlando chose to separate them, and now doing two superhero stories with two independent publishers feels kind of weird, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So
Do you ever think he gets confused while writing, where he's like, "Oh shit, this should have went in Project Patron"?
maybe I got to interview Steve Orlando, and he's such a great person.
Oh, he's
Um,
fantastic.
I really appreciate his work. I know that maybe I don't know. I feel like he has separated them, but I wish they weren't. I wish that they were the same book.
Like this was one of the presidents, like Project
Yes.
Patreon. Okay.
Yep. Hmm. Like maybe he wanted to put that in Commanders in Crisis, but then didn't, and then gave it to Aftershock.
Hmm.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I tried to
Bless you.
Let's see.
like catch the mute button really quick. I'm sorry if I just sneezed in anyone's ear or speakers. Um, another Aftershock book that I got, and this is the end of this one, but Scout's Honor.
Mm.
Did I have either of you been reading this?
I'm
Mike,
I'm
I'll go for it.
I'm waiting for the trade for that one because I missed out
Okay.
on issue 1.
I will definitely be getting the trade. My co-host has been telling me about this one, and it's really cool.
Okay, so I will not spoil, not that there's much to spoil, but the premise of this one is basically that it's a post-apocalyptic event happened. We're now living in that post-apocalyptic future, and the whole universe or the whole society has been, the rules are based on Boy Scouts, and the Boy Scout leader, Hancock, something other, Hancock Jefferson. And there is this person who, um, man, I don't know what to say without giving away like even issue 1. But anyways, it was pretty interesting. Issue number 5, even though it was the last, was probably the
Interesting one.
least interesting, maybe
Because
the
that's what
least
I've been
strong.
hearing is that
Yeah.
people were a little disappointed with the finale.
I think like everything's already set up. That just needed to just wrap up. If anything,
It really did need like a wrap up. I feel like this one could go either way, where it could be like, oh, we're gonna do like a second arc or not. I kind of like it where it is though, but it was still a really good book. I would highly recommend picking this up in trade. So I'm glad that both of you said that you're picking this up in trade.
Yeah, I've heard pretty much like most of it. Like my co-host is like, you know,
yeah.
it's like don't hold back. And so I think I know what you're trying to avoid spoiling.
Mhm.
And yeah, I can't wait to just like read it myself.
Yeah. Oh, one other aftershock book that I picked up. I think someone else mentioned it in the chat, but Maniac of New York. Basically, Freddy takes on a, I don't know, not
He's
Freddy,
just killing
Jason.
people.
Jason is going through in New York and killing people. I thought that this was going to be the last issue, and then I realized that it was issue 4, so we've still got one more left. But it was pretty good.
But it's basically Jason.
Yep. Basically, Jason, there was this event several years ago where Jason killed a whole bunch of people, and now there's like the Killer Day, and there's this whole like mythology set up in New York about it, and it's been pretty interesting. I like the character development. The issue, it seems like it's going to end at the Museum of Natural History. So I think that's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
Kind of weird to say about a book that it's like, oh, like they're murdering a whole bunch of people, but it's been fun.
And it isn't in a museum, so that's the cool part about it.
Yeah. So the last couple of issues, they were on like the first all fully automated train. So basically, spoiler alert, Jason just goes through and like kills everybody on the train except the detectives. But now it seems like in the next issue he's going to be in the museum. So kind of excited for that. I want to see shit get fucked up. Okay. Those are all the Aftershock books that I got. Anyone else get anything? Or Josue, what else did you get? I feel like you and I normally get like a lot of the same stuff. I mean, obviously Mars, you and I get all the same stuff too, but
it's fine.
All right, I want to talk about another book that is also very much like I need a group to like put more words into this book that already isn't. Arrows and Psyche #3.
Oh no! Why are you?
No, you guys already gave up on it.
Josue, why are you spending money on it?
Yep.
Josue, what have you done?
I just want to know. Again,
you're strengthening her.
I want to know. I'm very actually kind of curious about what you think of Eros and Psyche, because we both hated issue 1 so much, and that was the one where I'm just like, I'm not going to buy it. So like, what kept you going, and was it worth it?
I mean, in the end, I do want to say hopefully it's worth it, because it's not over. I don't think it's an ongoing. Gotta hope it doesn't go on forever.
Saying it's
like
not
this.
Worth it.
You know what? I'm curious. I'm curious on like how or what's been going on with these girls or with this school, because it's supposed to be a magical school, but we don't see much magic. It's more like the drama that goes around it. And I think in this one, Keith for sure said it best, where it's just like this one is being told through like a flawed narrator, and everything's being told very vague. Like it's almost like a you had to be there type of situation, and that's how you're being talked to. And I think that's what the mystery is. Where like I think once we get like that piece to kind of reveal everything, go back and like figure out why she's being so coy with everything, or like why everything isn't so detailed. But at the same time, I guess what keeps me attached to this book is that it's just such a polarizing difference from Luna.
Here, can I? I'm gonna full screen you if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay, show us.
Oh, and it's such a cool little scene too, where like there's a part where like the girls are like voting this girl out, and it's like it's really shitty. But it's such a polarizing difference from Luna, where it's so vibrant. It's just like very colorful. There's like a lot of stuff going on in one panel, in one page, sometimes one panel. And this one is just the opposite. It's just these conversations. Very simple. So I'm just curious how she can like do two very different books at the same time. I mean, like, not that you can't write two books at the same time, but the styles, like you see like two Lisa Sturl books, and it's like, oh, that's Lisa Sturl, like fantastic work. But then here with Maria has just two different styles of books, and I'm like, all right, like I can kind of be into this. And I don't know, something about like they can be cute together when they're not just being like, again, super coy and like suspicious on like so many different things. But yeah, I don't know. There's something that's there, and I'll figure out what it is, and I'll actually have the right words, if not more words, that the book doesn't have, because it doesn't say much.
Yeah. You know what's so funny is that I feel like so many of Maria Lovett's books are similar but dissimilar. And when I read Faithless, even though that was written by Brian Azzarello,
right.
Even though that was written by Brian Azzarello, I feel like the best parts were Maria Lovett. And then when Luna got announced, I'm like, sweet, this is going to be so much better than Faithless. And it's going to be all the best parts of it. And I feel like I'm enjoying Luna, but I'm not. Because I feel like there's a lot of moments.
I've been duped.
Yeah, and so one of the things, and this is one of the like points of contention that I have with, especially with issue 1, is that there's sex under the influence of drugs, and I'm not saying that that's not a bad thing, but I feel like there is, and I think that that's a big part of the book, because it's obviously about like a vampire sex drug cult.
Manson-y, culty, yeah,
and so like I get that, but at the same time I think that there does need to be that conversation about consent, and there wasn't that,
right?
So I feel like to me that was a little bit
And then they continue it with issue, what is it, 3?
Yes.
Where she's having sex with spiritual boyfriend, but she's also having sex with the other guy, but her mind is in another place. So here we go back to that conversation of consent where you are, you know, having
like,
sexual relations with one dude, but your mind is in a whole other place and not in the way that, you know, we normally think about that, you know?
Right. Like it's such a it's a naughty act, but I feel like it glorifies like the bad parts of it than being like, yes, this could be like a fun, good thing. But it's just yeah, right. There's no consent to it. It just glorifies like the bad part.
Yeah. And I feel like with Luna, I was very excited for it. And then I'm like, man, I don't really love this. And then with Eros and Psyche, I'm like, okay, lesbian, like witch school, I'm in. And then it felt even...
That I didn't get that at all.
There was even less substance. So I feel like with Maria Lovett, kind of the same with Mirka Andolfo right now. Maybe stick to doing cool covers. I'm not into the writing. So
I think we're just missing a piece of like the why of it all in Eros and Psyche. Like there's like 3 issues in. I think I'm just like kind of like noticing it now. There's a reason towards why in every issue. Like, okay, so why is this happening in this issue? And it'll never come down to it. It was like this happened, then the big happens again, like, and then like they'll resolve it. They'll resolve it, and then they won't really say why that happened or why this other girl did this. Like in the second issue, there's other girl that kind of like secludes herself with another student and helps her like start binding herself, and it's like, okay, so this is like an all-girl school, and like this person that's dealing with this like the subject is like, okay, this is a very interesting point. But then one of the main girls is kind of like in her narration is like, and we'll never understand why she betrayed us, and it's like, wait, whoa, what?
But you're the writer, you can literally tell us why.
Exactly. So I feel like it's like we might get that piece of why to kind of go back and explain everything, but in the meantime, yeah, the writing is kind of lacking.
Agreed.
Okay. I think this was supposed to be a 4 or 5 issue miniseries. So I'm going to be very curious to hear if anything wraps up. Maybe just kind of see.
I'll let you know.
please and thank you. Okay. Let's go ahead and did either of you pick up? I know that we did pick up one issue of some image books. But any image books that you guys pick up this week?
I picked up a few. Okay.
I picked up just the one, so I slacked this week. It's okay. I'm just here to have fun and say
myself
hi.
Last time, so I'm not picking this time.
Okay. Neither of you want to go?
No, you pick this time.
Me. Okay. I know that. Okay. So Time Before Time.
Cool.
I know. I actually really enjoyed this book. I feel like it, and maybe that's me saying that with the perspective of not a lot of the books were great. So was this a perfect book? No, but I think that it was enjoyable, and I think that it was an interesting premise.
It needs more, man. Needs more.
I mean, we're only 1 issue in. Yeah. It was enough for sure. Definitely time travel stuff. I'm gonna love it. I did like for the better parts of the Looper movie, the actual time travel parts. I did like that premise of like, if you got to bounce from this time, we can hide you in the past and nobody can like mess you over there.
Like a witness protection program.
Yeah.
Like a time machine.
Or like was like a black market escape plan, like almost like it was in Breaking Bad when you just need a fresh, clean slate. And I love the beginning of the kid where it's like, well, what's the Wi-Fi password? And like, kid, Wi-Fi isn't going to be
that was great.
10 years. And the little hissy fit is like, I hate it here. It's like, kid, you're just like the rest of us. We had to grow up through that shit.
Yeah.
But then also, and you get the great moment with like the friend, like the whole time skip with the friend over the afternoon, like. That's the stuff that eats me up. Like I'll eat that shit up for time travel, like they happen in Interstellar. Like that one scene, you come back, you're like, wait, that's not fair. And you feel bad for the friend. And then the story just starts going and picks up after that, where like you didn't think it was gonna go that way. So I get why it was kind of like there should have been maybe a little bit more. Like Image has been putting out these like giant size issues or first issues like for every now and then. I feel like this one could have probably like benefited from that.
Oh, like doing like I know Monstrous did that because like Monstrous that issue 1 is just huge, but it really sets up this whole universe. You're right, it could have been much bigger to do that.
because we just get dropped in with like the new character and like, hey, I'm taking over, and that's it. So it's like, well, she's pretty cool, but I kind of could use a few more pages with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was mostly bored and confused through the whole thing. A lot of it, the art style kind of felt muddy and looked the same. Not muddy, but it looked the same to me. I just did not have a real. There were moments I liked, like the Wi-Fi password part, the whole thing with the friend and him coming back, and things like that. But overall, I was just confused. And I know we were talking about this backstage, but I feel like mine, and I don't know if this is the way the book was made, but I felt like there were some printing errors where there was some bleeding that didn't work properly. And I'm not wondering if in some areas I'm like, did I get pages out of order? Is that why this isn't making sense to me? Or is it just a matter of bad pacing? So I guess we'll never know because Image hasn't said anything, but I just did not. Like, this is one of those books where it's like, I wouldn't even care enough to pick it up and trade.
Wow.
I don't care enough. I'm bored. On to the next one.
See, I liked this one enough where I'm like, okay, I think that I do want to pick up at least issue number 2, and I'll let that decide whether I want to keep going or go to the trade. There's another book that has come out recently, an Aftershock book called Nuclear Family, written by Stephanie Phillips. And the premise of that book is that it's like 1950s suburbia, and there's this huge, it's basically just like, a day in the life of this family. And it's really cute and it's really wholesome. But then what happens at the very end of it is that a nuclear bomb drops, right? And what I love about that story in particular, especially issue 1, is that at the close to the end, the bomb drops at the end of the book. But then instead of just leaving that to be the cliffhanger of the bomb dropping, there's another cliffhanger that the government comes in and accuses them of being communists, the family that's like survived this nuclear event. So I wish that Time Before Time did that, because they could have easily like dropped the bomb at the end of the issue, but then pushed it a little bit further. So I think that if this book just pushed it a pinch further, I would be like ranting and raving about this book instead of being like, okay, it was good, I'll see it, I'll check it out and see like, where it goes next.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing we got was like the distorted date at the end of like, oh shit, where are they? But that's the only thing we have to just come back to. It's like, where did they go, or where did they land? But it almost wasn't enough, but it's there.
Cantonese Comic Kid asks, did I pick up, you said stack number 3, I'm pretty sure you're talking about Staked number 3. I picked up issue 1, didn't really love it, and didn't go back for more. I believe that's the one you're talking about. So let me know if I was correct on that. But no, I did not. Did anyone this week pick up Silver Coin number 2?
Oh, yes. I forgot that came out this week. Oh no!
Oh, and I remember you guys like weren't fans of the first one.
No. Yeah, but I was excited for this one because A, it was done by Kelly Thompson, and B, it had to deal with slashers. Dude, so please tell me your thoughts. I'm very sad that I missed out on this one.
So first I have to say that I really love the first one. It was just like a cool, fun show that just was just fucked by the end. It made me think of, I'm not sure if you guys ever saw this, at this point, a very dated show, but it's Todd in the Book of Pure Evil.
Okay.
And it's basically the silver coin. It's like the satanic book that just comes alive and just ensues a bunch of craziness. But in the first episode, it transforms into a guitar. And by the end of the episode, the dude just keeps playing and the whole crowd is just entranced by like the heavy riffing until everybody starts bleeding by headbanging. It was kind of like the first one, but then it was a happier ending than how Silver Coin was. But Silver Coin 2 was super fun.
Yeah. Silver Coin 1 was great. And I think the only reason why it was good. The first issue was good. I did expect more from it.
Okay.
If this book wasn't an anthology, I'd probably not pick up issue number 2. However, because I knew that this was going to be like an anthology, like each one's going to be different and like different writers, different creative teams. So I did pick up issue number 2 of this for that reason. I loved issue 2 a whole heck of a lot more than I liked issue 1. I really, really did enjoy this. I know if John's Comics with Kids is in the chat, he hated this. He ripped it apart when we were on Comic Talk Live together. We are now mortal enemies.
Really?
I'm just kidding, John. I still love you if you're still here in the chat. If you're not still in the chat, then I hate guts. I'm just kidding. But I really enjoyed it. It did, to me, it was not necessarily ripping off 80s horror movies. It's like a love letter to it.
Like an
Yeah.
homage.
Yes, 100%. And I really enjoyed it. I could seriously do an entire series. I would love to see an entire series based off of this one issue.
Dude, honestly, for real.
Like if this
I
was
would
set
too.
up, the pacing would need to obviously be a little bit different. Like this couldn't be issue 1 of the series, but if it was like we get to see this girl who goes to camp and she gets made fun of, ends up picking up the silver coin and getting like cursed by it, and then ends up becoming like a slasher herself. And so I would love to see an entire series of that, even if it was like a 3 or 4 issue miniseries. I would love to see that, but we're just going to get one issue of it. And who's the next creative team? Do you recall?
The next one should be Ed Bryson.
Yeah.
Because it's still going to be the same artist, but it's just the writers that are rotating.
Mm-hmm. Paj Toy 45 says, wish Kelly Thompson would do a horror comic.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
I'd read it. I would love to see her do more indie. I mean, she's really what grabs me into Marvel. I mean, it's her books that I really connect with in Marvel, and I loved when she did, because the way I think she really started was with Gem and the Holograms with IDW, and that's how I discovered her, and I love that book. And then she jumped over to Marvel, and I feel like she hasn't been able to really do any create her own stuff, since, because she's so busy. So I would love to see her take on more like that.
I don't necessarily want to compare the two just because they're both women working in comics, but I would say that if you liked Silver Coin 2, written by Kelly Thompson, I would highly recommend Becky Cloonan, and I would highly recommend Southern Cross by Becky Cloonan, and I would highly, no matter what, just recommend by Chance or Providence by Becky Cloonan.
Yep, 100%.
Which is like a great
gothic horror anthology.
Gothic horror, yeah. 100% recommend. And it's funny, we were talking about tattoos that we'd want. Backstage we were talking about tattoos. The cover of By Chance or Providence, the original one, the girl with the sword, that's one of the tattoos that I'm thinking about getting. So anyways, if you did like this, if you want to see more Kelly Thompson doing horror, maybe a good stand-in for now would be Becky Cloonan.
Cool.
Anything else from Image that you guys picked up?
Just the last one. Just
Nami? Okay. Oh no.
What is it?
No. Josue came onto the show choosing violence. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I've heard, this is from the lovely folks over on Wildebeest on Comic Talk Live. They said that issue 3 of Carmen was the best one, but this is from people who pretty much liked issue 1 and 2, where I'm curious to hear your thoughts on Carmen issue 3.
Yeah, so this is definitely a book that was, don't want to say it gets lost in translation, but I think that there could be maybe like a translator if this really is written, if the first chapter of this is really written by Guilliam March in his native language, and there's there is a translation. I'm not sure if there's like some sort of lost translation between Dan and Guilliam, because maybe some scenes do come off a little strong, or maybe like the writing, it's just like, don't want to say like the writing is kind of lacking, because it is a very heavy book. Basically, a lot of subplot happens here where it's very touching, and then you get lifted up, and then it gets taken away from you. Another person dies, basically, and you get to see it all happen, and you really get to feel for this person. It makes you just like connect with them for that second before they get gets ripped apart, right? And it sucks. And then this is where like the main character, the one that takes her own life in the first issue, she gets a whole hissy fit against Carmen, where like about selfishness, and then Carmen pretty much claps back on like, really, we're going to talk about selfishness here over what you did, and it comes off just really strong. And I get where like, and I've seen some like people taking this scene kind of negatively too, and I get it. It's just like, dealing with mental illness, dealing with like a subject like this, it's not easy, and especially to put in the right words, it can be very triggering. And in this case, I can definitely see where like, God, to just talk down to somebody like this, especially with like in a tough love situation, it's just like it cannot be received well. It wouldn't be received well, especially when you're just like been on that side or been on that receiving end or dealing with shit that it's nobody's business, you know. So I get that where she's like it's a kind of a mixed bag, especially with this one. This one definitely was like the stronger one out of the 3 issues, mostly because we do get introduced to a new character. Kind of a spoiler since you guys kind of dropped it won't be that much of a spoiler, but her name is Carmela, and
I'm gonna yep, cool.
Her name is Carmela, and she's basically,
I think I love her.
And she's basically like a Carmen, yeah, but it's with blue hair, and instead of like the skeleton system, it's more like the circulatory system. And she has no shit for anybody. She's there instead of like she's there. Her job is there for the guy I was mentioning. I don't want to ruin that story because it is really pretty. And she's there to pick up that guy. Like she's like her. I want to say she's not really. They're not really angels of death. They started dropping the word reincarnation in this book, and it's like, oh, so this is where we started going. Like this is what happens in this world's afterlife. So this is where we start kind of like, this is where the book really got my interest all over again, where it's just like, all right, this is what I was waiting for. What kind of mythos are we really playing here? Instead of just post-life stuff, we're dealing with reincarnate. So, all right, I can deal with that. But yeah, it's that scene between Carmen and the main character where just like, it really just, it's going to land differently between people. Cause it's just like, oof.
Now, the way that you just described issue 3 is almost how I wish issue 1 was, because I feel like at least with the first 2 issues, and correct me if like issue 3 is the same, but I feel like issue 1 and 2 were really just fan service. And it was like, we're going to create this story where this girl dies by suicide and it happens when she's in a bathtub. So she's just going to be hanging out naked the whole time. And we're just going to create a story that can be written so we can draw and we can watch a naked girl float in the air for the entire, story. Like we're going to base an entire story around so we can justify putting a naked woman in the air. So it just didn't feel like that had substance. But if how you just described issue 3 is how issue 1 was, I feel like that would be the substance that I would need to justify watching a story of a naked girl who dies by suicide show off her butt.
And honestly, you're absolutely right. And it just kind of hit me where like, if the whole suicide scene had to be played out just to explain who this person is, sure. But honestly, this should have been issue 1, and then issue 1 and 2 should have been like following after that, based on like everything you just said. Just if we have to follow this naked girl around with no substance, because you're right. And it finally comes in issue 3. So if you have to come back, just kind of like see if you want to reevaluate the story, I think you should come back to issue 3.
I might. Maybe next week I'll see if I can get a hold of Carmen issue number 3. Because I was still, I feel like that is such a touchy subject.
Yes.
And I feel like there needs to be a lot of nuance. And especially if there is a language barrier and you're translating, right? Like that nuance could be lost in that translation. And I don't want to downplay like, we talked about like smutty comics. We talked about liking those things. So to me, it's not necessarily a matter of not appreciating like art or not appreciating like seeing a naked lady in the sky. 100% I dig that, but the story needs to be there. So I'll see if I can go back to issue 3.
Okay.
The only other Image comic book that I did pick up, but I haven't read yet, I did pick up Ice Cream Man. This cover is just really, really I picked up both covers, so
so cool.
Yeah. So anyways, those were all the Image books. What else did you guys pick up? Did you pick up any of the big 2?
Ooh, going over to big 2 stuff. I still have some because I have some Boom books and IDW.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah, I was gonna say I have Boom stuff.
Okay, let's go ahead and go through those.
Okay. So Boom finally redeemed themselves. All right, they redeemed themselves with a little book called Magic the Gathering #2 because I was actually able to get fucking covers this time. So if you missed it, last month I ranted about how Boom is doing blind bags for the Planeswalker covers for Magic the Gathering, and I want them all. But they apparently sent all of the same cover to shops and fucked people over. So this time I was sitting in my shop peeling them apart very carefully to make sure that I was getting different ones. And I managed to snag all 3.
Nice.
So I'm really excited. But we've established I'm a huge Magic the Gathering player.
Yes, awesome.
I spend way too much fucking money on cards when I should be spending it on comics, but it is what it is. I am still loving this book. It's starting to get a little complex and a little convoluted, but if I'm being quite honest, one of my favorite things about reading the Magic the Gathering series is seeing characters that I recognize from the cards that I have. Seeing like Vanifar and Aurelia pop up, and then seeing at the very end Tezzeret pop up.
Yes.
So I feel like I know it's issue 1. I was like, oh, if you don't play Magic, if you just want a good fantasy story, pick it up. Yeah, that's it for issue 1. But once you get into issue 2, we start going deeper into Magic lore.
This is the fan service issue.
Characters start popping up that you might not like appreciate as much as somebody who plays. But it's still a really, really fun adventure story. And if I'm being quite honest with you, it just makes me excited for the eventual Magic the Gathering anime that we're getting on Netflix.
Oh, yes.
So I'm like, I just want more good Magic injected into my veins because the past couple iterations have not been very fun.
No, I too had a lot of fun with this one.
It was fun. It was a good book. That's all I can say is it was fun. Like, I'm not going into this book for any sort of like huge, massive plot. Like, let's be honest. It's a tie-in franchise book. Like, it's no different than when I go into Overwatch comics or even Mass Effect comics. And I'm like, I want the best comic I've ever read. I'm not in it for that. I'm just in it for more, stuff as a fan of these properties. So, yeah. Really loved it.
So I am not a big Magic player. Like, I've played it like 3 or 4 times. Couldn't really get into it. But I did pick up issue 1 because you said that it was great, and it's like a great, like, kind of like sci-fi fantasy story anyways. That being said, I did not pick up issue 2, and the way that you spoke about it just now, I'm glad that I didn't, because I was a little bit lost in issue 1 just because I'm not too familiar with any of the characters. So I don't know. I'm always like, maybe I'll go back. Who knows?
No, this one's definitely set with like, I think this one for sure defined its setting, and it's definitely post like 2 events ago, or the last big event, War of the Spark, because it sets up the Niz Miset, like the giant dragon. He's like the overlord of the guild. So it's like, if you kind of know what's been going on in the cards, you're gonna follow it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But I just really enjoy it, and I'm collecting all the Planeswalker covers because I need the dumb bitch money.
I want the Garuk one so bad.
I got you, pal. I got you. Don't worry about it. I got you.
Thank you.
Let me go ahead and ask this. Proctor Valley Road, did this come out this week, or was that last week? Okay. For some reason, I thought that I maybe missed out on it last week.
Is this issue 2 or 3?
This is issue 3.
Oh,
I haven't read it yet. Too. Did you read it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. What are your thoughts on Proctor Valley Road?
It's fun. Like, I always again, at first glance, at face value, I always think it's gonna be, I'm going into like a Boom YA book, but then I'm turning, and that's what makes it become such a page turner for me, because it's not. It becomes very like gruesome. It gets very grim at parts, and even like the dialogue is just like written not for YA. And I think that's what hooks me in. And the whole sole purpose of this book is that they just want to go to a Janis Joplin show, and who wouldn't want that, like back in the day? So yeah, and I like the cast, like the set of girls.
Yeah, and I appreciate a lot that this. I appreciate Grant Morrison as a writer a lot. I think they've done some of my like absolute favorite stories.
Yeah,
and this never felt like a Grant Morrison book to me. Like, it's not weird.
No, issue 1 did not.
Yeah, but it's almost like just the right amount of weird. And you're right. Like, I do feel like I'm going into a young adult story.
Yeah,
but it's a really good amount of nostalgia, and I think that a lot of books right now are doing the 80s nostalgia, especially because of things like Stranger Things. So I appreciate this like 70s nostalgia and going, instead of it being like Fleetwood Mac, because this could easily be like a Fleetwood Mac story, but instead I think it focusing on Janis Joplin, I appreciate that a lot.
100%.
Sounds like a job for the Ketchup Kitties. Was there, I feel like there was another Boom book, and I'm
Oh yes, there was.
There was.
what
The
was
biggest
it?
boom of all.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
The giant boom.
Jose, do you want to lead it off, Josue? Because I got feelings.
Oh man, we finally get at least the reveal of a secret. At least like
right.
a big secret. Finally, 8 issues in, we finally get like a reveal of one of the big ones. And holy shit, holy shit. So yeah, where did we leave off? Our cast, like at the end of the first arc, the whole cast had to go through this portal because the whole base was going to go down, right? And bad people open case, and that's all that's all we know, because we follow our cast into this weird cool portal, and we come back out, and everybody has experienced what had happened.
And
Holy shit.
we're basically picking up the action, so it felt like issue 7 felt like a nice little break in between the two arcs. It almost felt like a filler episode. Like I could have easily done without issue 7 and been okay with it. Issue 8, we're getting right back into it. We find out, what the first secret is, and we're on the move again. We're on the move to, kind of solidify ourselves and start to plan and strategize about how we are going to win. But can I just say, listen, I know he's a bad guy. I understand that.
Don't say it.
Amon is the hottest person in comic books right now. Listen,
can you show us a picture? Okay, I'm gonna blow you up.
This man in his little black turtleneck and his little swoopy hair, and then this, when he's beating the shit out of this guy we find out that, his mother dies in the crossfire when she was supposed to be kept alive. Oh my God, I've never been more sexually attracted to a man in my entire life. And I'm just like, part of me is hoping he gets like a Zuko type treatment where he's the bad guy, but then he gets like a redemption arc. But at the same time, I'm like, I like you when you're bad. You're just really cute. And I just want you to marry me. And listen, Daniel Di Niccolo already said that we could date. Because every time Daniel Di Niccolo posts images of like 7 secrets, and more specifically like panels that he's drawing of Amon, my thirsty ass is always in the comments like, God damn, thank you for blessing us with just this mighty feast today. And he's like, girl, you already know he's yours. I'm like, yes, that's my husband.
I get you. At the most, I'll give him the hug that he very much needs.
He needs a hug. He really does.
I just want to slap him across the face, like, just go to Mars.
It's okay. Amon is literally the peak of like, I can change him. Like when we look at characters that are like, he's so bad, but I can change him. Amon shows up right. You can change. I can change him.
You can never change him. It's so funny because I know I've said it before. I hated this series when it first came out. And there was this story came out during a week when like 4 or 5 stories came out, like that Texas Blood.
We only find them when we're dead.
Well, I liked We Only Find Them when they're dead. I did like that one. There was another Image title that came out that was pretty. So anyways, I hated every fucking book I read that week. And 7 Secrets was one of them. And I hated that it was like the book is called 7 Secrets. And then like the girl's pregnant, the woman's pregnant. And I'm like, oh, is that one of the secrets? But this book gets so much better. I did not read this until like maybe a month or 2 ago when the trade came out. Binge read it in like 30 minutes. Absolutely loved it. So I'm really glad that I did not give up on 7 Secrets. And
so good.
Yes, issue 8 is the first issue where we get a secret. But truly, honestly, after getting over issue 1 and just reading the entire trade, I read the trade and finished it. And I'm like, this story is so good. It's paced perfectly. I could not if a secret wasn't revealed to me and Tom Taylor never did a 100-issue series and I never found out what any of the secrets were, I'd be okay because the story is that interesting. Yes. Granted, I'm saying that having an issue 8 getting a secret revealed, but seriously, this book is really good. I'm very glad that I did not give up on it, or at least went back to it after giving up on it.
No, that's so true. Like, this book does become like a binge read because he just, like, here's my money. I'm paying it because I want to know what the 7 secrets are.
Yep.
But then it becomes about everything else but the 7 secrets. And you're right.
And it's emotional.
Yeah. There's such cool like world building, and then you get to see family dynamics, and then just relationship dynamics, and then you get to see how this like organization works. And yes, I do want to know what the secrets are, but the rest of the story is just so damn compelling.
But it slowly and quickly becomes not the important thing to want to know. you want to know about everything else after a while. Yeah.
I'm telling y'all, it's a new saga. Y'all don't want to believe me. It's a new saga. It's as good as Saga. If you like Saga, please read this book.
I definitely get the Saga. At first, when you compared it to Saga, that was before I had read the trade again. And I'm like, did you just mention Saga compared to this book? Like,
we're at church here, Mars. Come on.
That's disrespectful.
So good, though.
I definitely do think that the way that, especially with Saga, with each arc, it's like we're going somewhere and then we're not, and then we're going somewhere and then we're not, and then we're like, we keep going to a place and then end up not really getting there. So I do see the comparisons there, especially with family stories about the family dynamic. I wouldn't necessarily put the two together, but I do think that right now, if you are crying internally because of this 3-year saga hiatus we've been on, I do think that
this will help kind of cushion the void for you, because it gives you those same feelings, and that's what I say when I say that this is like another saga.
It's a top tier book. That's for damn
exactly.
Sure. Yep. One of the other, I don't know if you are reading. I don't think that either of you are reading this, but Canto. Are either of you picking this one up? It's like the little side quest. Okay.
I have failed miserably this week.
It's adorable, Mars.
I am I absolutely loved Canto, like the first arc. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. I loved the first issue of Canto. I was absolutely obsessed. I was like, this is like the best thing since sliced bread. Like, I can't believe how good it was. But that first trade, I did not care for it. I was like, it just felt so... There was something missing. There was something so special about the first issue.
Their hearts are missing.
All right, listen here, pal. But there was something so special about the first issue that I felt like it didn't carry on into the following issues, and it kind of fell flat. So Canto and its sequels, I feel like is something maybe at some point I will pick up. But I personally wish it was a more concise, confined story. Rather than now, it feels like within the span of 2 years, it's already gotten 3 spinoffs. I feel like it might be too much too soon.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not wondering if that maybe because of like movie and animation deals in the talks. So they're like, we want to get as much material out there so that way we can have a whole series. But there's something about it that is just off for me.
I feel like it's like, go for it.
No, you.
Oh, I was gonna say, to me, it kind of feels like, well, I guess it is a very fantasy world, but I want to say it feels more focused from the writer. With David Boer, since like he's not a big comic book writer over like any other house or any other big two. He's actually a lawyer for his real gig. So I think it is more like he can just focus on just like straight up telling the story, which is why we've gone for like the first one, the sequel, the spin-offs, or like the one shots into this one for the third one. And holy shit, it's really awesome that I did get picked up for an animated film or show. But I feel like he can just focus on like his baby that is this story.
For sure. And I would say too, what I know you said that this is one of the things that you necessarily don't like because it's a lot of spin-offs, but I do think that because this the first series was like a sleeper hit, like not a lot of people were talking about Canto when it came out, and I was one of those people. I didn't actually get the trade until it was gifted to me by Bullseye Bob from Everything Comics. Sent me an AOK with the trade, and so I read it. then ended up picking up the single issues for series 2, and then being able to pick up the single issues for this spin-off series. And I think that I'm glad that there's spin-off series, because people like me who maybe didn't get in it until the trade came out, it's going to be easy to pick up the trade and then go ahead and just pick up the single issues for this. So it gives like an easy way in for readers who maybe haven't been on the single issues from the start.
And these two spin-offs are just bridges. It's Kanto 1 and 2, and it's just like the one-shot Clockwork Fairies to bridge to 1 and 2, and this 3-parter for 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be like just one giant close-off story in the end.
And I really do also have to say the artwork in this is it's simple, but it's very dynamic. And I think that it really handles splash pages well.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes splash pages can just feel like unnecessary fillers or with the pacing. But seriously, with like the splash pages here, it's so simple, but it tells so much. So I really appreciate the artwork in this. And let me get to a better one, which is
it changes in this one too. It's usually Drew Zucker doing the original art, and this
that is nice.
Sebastian Petty, so it takes over for this mini arc, and it's actually really good. Like, and I love Drew Zucker, but in this case, for this little story, Petty really does a good job of like encapsulating like the world, especially with those pages that Jen was saying.
Yeah. So anyways, if you haven't already, pick up Kanto. It's going to be a thing. Like, it's going to be a movie, TV show thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Now I just have big 2 stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, I only have DC left, so...
Let me double check through here. I did pick up a couple back issues, and so I'm trying not to get through those. I did pick up this. This is actually from a previous week. Marjorie Finnegan, Temporal Criminal. Basically a foul-mouthed, sassy lady goes through time kind of stealing stuff, and this was actually really fun. And
who was that published by?
AWA. So our friends who did Casual Fling.
Oh, good old Casual Fling.
I remember that saga. You completely gave up on that one, right?
No.
No, she still reads it to me every month.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think it comes out next week. I think the last issue comes out
next
week.
I thought it'd be over by now.
Yeah. Nope. Totally really I'm disgustingly into it now. Like, I totally,
Wait, did 3 turn you around?
I'm actually like almost invested in the story in like a sick, sadistic way.
Okay.
So find out next week or the week after.
Oh, I am.
My thoughts on the whole series.
The big sad.
Yeah. I did pick up a couple. Let me, like I said, I didn't read half my stack, and I forgot about this one when we were talking about Aftershock, but I picked up Eden.
Oh, yes.
Did you pick this one up as well?
Yeah, when it came out last week, yeah.
Oh, this one came out last week. Okay, so then this one I didn't pick up last week. This one was really interesting. I hate and love that it was a one-shot.
Yep.
The premise of it is basically this woman walks into a tattoo shop, requests a tattoo from an artist who has recently lost his partner and child. And so she goes into the shop. It seems like she's interested in him. She wants a tattoo, a butterfly from him, simple, and she gets the tattoo. Then she goes into the tattoo shop again, like a month later or something like that. The tattoo is gone. Where did it go? Turns out that the tattoo, whenever he tattoos something on her, she goes into like Central Park, and there's this magical world where the tattoos on her that are animals rip off from her skin and go into real life.
Yeah.
Am I doing this justice, Josue?
Yeah, because you don't want to spoil it. You said just enough to where if you haven't read it, the mind can wander. Because again, this is a troubled individual who has a very nice mustache in the comic. It's like, you know what? So yeah, if you can find the 2 and 2 to put together, it gets fucking crazy. And yeah, one that it literally leaves you wanting so much more, because it's just like, fuck, it's awesome.
Yeah. But I think that it wrapped up pretty perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at first I'm like, man, sometimes I do hate when books are like this big because
A
I'm
heavy
just gonna,
metal size.
yeah, because one, I don't know what to do with them, but at the same time, I think that um, if this had just been a regular sized book on the shelf, it wouldn't have popped out. And because this is a one shot, it needed to pop out. So,
Mm-hmm.
really appreciated this. Um, let's go ahead. Did either of you, I know you said that you don't have any more indies left, but I did pick up The House of Lost Horizons,
Ooh.
by Dark Horse, from the world of Hellboy. So I haven't read that one yet, but I do have that one on my list.
I did have another book I forgot. I even
What was
forgot
that?
about to talk about my show.
Mhm.
And that's Hank Howard's Pizza Detective in Caligula's Safe. And this is
What?
this is
Here,
the
I'm
one
gonna.
bad idea book that came out this week. I think it was only sold
Oh,
for like
yeah.
one day, or for like hopefully it's not for one day. Hopefully people can still pick it up. But it's if you've been following Bad Idea, the new publisher has been like it's very specific, like don't sell it anywhere else, or we will stop selling to our store. This Bad Idea and this book. If you've been following Bad Idea, they've had 3 books out so far, and they've been kind of winners. Like ENIAC, I love it. Oh, you got it too, cool.
I did. Yep.
ENIAC, I love it. I sink my teeth into it every issue because it's just like bonkers on like this what if supercomputer. Tankers was gonna be more of a fun read. It's really just like a whatever.
Yeah.
And then this, and then Whalesville and Rocks and Minerals was just, God, it just played with my heart. It was just so touching.
Yeah.
This was just silly as fuck. It's like in that pulpy PI, Charles Bukowski type of detective, like piece of shit detective. That's who you're kind of following in this, and he's just, and it's a simple case on this pizza shop and their safe was burglarized, and he's just trying to find who did it. And it goes by really fast because it's just like it's one of those like piece of shit PIs that like he'll think it's someone, and he'll just like grill them until they confess, and it's like even though it's not them. But the story is drawn by David Lapham, who if you like Stray Bullets, it's really just that greediness, black and white world. And well, I guess I'll credit to Robert Venditti who had fun writing the issue.
And
but really,
sorry.
I'll go for it. I was really wrapping up.
There's a backup story too. Like it's so weird because this is such like it's literally like a really thin book. But there's 2 stories in it, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I think it was either Tankers or ENIAC that did like an extra like mini story in the back, but it's like
an ENIAC.
And it shouts out Tankers because there's like the company that's mentioned in Tankers is mentioned in this backup story. So I haven't read this one, but I'm curious to see if it ends up like doing that.
That's cool if they end up crossing that way. I didn't even notice that. I will have to go back because Tinkers I didn't really fully pay attention to like that world because it was just silly. ENIAC is the one I'm really like looking at every single detail.
Yeah.
And this is the same artwork that David Lapham who does those little pieces at the end of the ENIACs.
Okay.
That bold black and white. Okay, now I just have big 2 stuff.
Okay. I still feel like my pile is all messed up from this week.
Because you have so much and you buy too much.
I really truly do. And then, like I said, I'm like not reading half of it, but there was another book that I got. Was it a Dark Horse book? Was it maybe from last
week? Dark Horse book?
I don't know. Where are all my books? Okay, maybe I'll bring it up later, but let's go ahead and talk about the big 2. Let's go ahead and start off. Let's do Marvel.
Cool.
What'd you pick up from? I know Mars, you don't pick up a lot of Marvel. Did you pick up anything?
Not a damn thing.
I get to fight with Mars about Marvel. I love it.
I don't fight with people. I just don't like them enough.
I don't buy enough DC or DC at all. So it's like I love that there's a little opposites here.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be good.
I did pick up Black Hammer Visions. That was the Dark Horse book.
Nice.
Okay.
It was good. It was weird. I don't even know how to describe this one. This one's really weird. Yeah. Sorry. if you pick this book up, Mars, I don't think that you would like it. And I think that you'd be like, I'm glad I'm trade waiting for that.
Is it because it's wordy? It's because it's wordy.
No, it's because there's a lot of time jumps. Like they're like watching a TV show and then they're not, but then they are in the TV show and they're not, and they're playing the same characters. It's weird. But I love it. So anyways, that was the other book. You said that you did pick up Marvel. What did you pick up from Marvel this way?
I got the 3X books that came out, and we would feel like a bunch of Spidey, and then Heroes Reborn.
Okay. I haven't read most of my Marvel books. The only one that I got a chance to read was X Corp.
Okay.
And I hated this book so much.
I almost picked it up because I love David Asia, and I'm like, oh, David Asia, and then I opened it up and I was like, oh, so generic ass House of X shit. No.
Whoa.
This is worse. So I love House of X, Powers of X. I love like all the Dawn of X. X Corp hated so much. I'm so glad you didn't pick this up because I think that you would literally never pick up another X book if you picked this one up.
That for Mars for sure. I can definitely I can concur with that.
I just like the idea of like X-Men Amazon, and I feel like if this book, and this is me saying it as somebody who didn't read it, but I feel like if this book was like a Matt Fraction Hawkeye type book, and again maybe it's the David Asia calling out to me, where it was like kind of witty and kind of like had a conversation about capitalism and massive corporations, it could have been really fun. But I feel like it didn't do that. Just by looking at what I flipped through.
And it was Teenie Howard, and I know you don't really care for Teenie Howard.
No, I don't.
The book had a very wordy start. I will give you that. But damn it, am I not? Okay, the thing I'm least excited for about this book is Angel. Just being one of the main characters, not being part of the team, but being one of the main figureheads of this company. Whatever. But at some point, it does get revealed that he can maybe switch in and out of Archangel. So that's pretty cool. But his partner, though, like Monet, fuck yeah, I'm all about it. Like a super underrated mutant, and now, like, and as an actual figurehead and head of a book, yes, I want to be all signed up for this one. And then they decided to treat us even more. Jamie Madrox is going to be part of the team, which is actually one of the most interesting parts of the book. Like, if anything, if it's like, yeah, sure, the company, a business, all of this and that, yeah, it's very wordy. It can get kind of boring. But the Jamie Madrox parts are going to be some most interesting parts of all, because he used to be kind of a throwaway character, a multiple man. He can be his own little army, but it wasn't until and Keith also turned around with this one too. I think it was Peter David who took over for X Factor at one point, and he made Jamie Madrox interesting.
I can't remember.
There's an X Factor run.
Is Jamie Madrox multiple man?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, I only know one of these characters, but then you mentioned multiple man. I was like, wait, I know that character.
Yeah. And he's really interesting in this one because they found instead of just being a jokey character, because like he is very just like aloof, but ever since they started writing him, where like his dupes can learn and he can reabsorb and retain that information, they've been writing that like this whole time. Like, yeah, he can still be his own little character, but he takes his mutant powers seriously, and now running a whole science division where it's just him running his shit. And they actually play with that too, where like Monet actually like, I think one of the dupes calls her like, "Hey, lady," and it's like, if you were really Jamie Madrox, you would know that he would not call me lady, and just groins him, and thus making the dupe pop out another dupe. And at that point, the real Jamie shows up and it's like reabsorbs that new one, and it's like, yeah, I'm not like I run a tight crew here. I'm not gonna have any random dupes on here too, because there's been a story where like he can make a dupe, but it could be a different personality of his. It could be one that could just want to like fuck over the original one and be the original one now, even though he'd be a dupe himself. So that can happen. So he reabsorbs that because he almost like runs his own company based on his dupes. And then there's a whole scene that happens where he loses them, and he has a whole like a bitch fit, but rightfully so. He like it's justified. But again, because it becomes very interesting just because he actually gives a shit.
I'm kind of glad that you just like ran down that, because I feel like I understand this book a little bit more now because of that. Maybe I did read this one a little bit too quickly, but I hated it. I did not like this. I did not understand it. Womp womp. Maybe I'll go back because I do love X-Men a lot.
Yeah. This was the one I was expecting to be like the slowest start, or
Yeah.
if not, like might be the first stinker.
Oh, so sorry.
The first stink.
You made me hate it more.
I love it.
Even though it's
What
so funny,
part?
even though John and I did agree, we disagreed on Silver Coin, trashed it, but we did agree we did not like X Corp. So oh, and then hello to Comic Burrito. Hello.
So what other Marvel books y'all got? Because I didn't read shit. I did see that Shadow of Spider-Man #2 came out this week.
I didn't
pick it up, but I'm like curious.
Forgot.
Oh, yeah.
Give
I
us
got
the
it.
That's why I believe in you. I know you picked that up. Tell me about it, because it's one of those books where I was like, I'm gonna read it, but I'd be better off reading it in the trade.
So I really do love that Marvel is doing trades for what ifs instead of just like one shots. They can actually expand on them a little bit more now.
Yeah.
This issue is what I expected to be, or coming into on like the next issue, because it's gonna be like a 4-parter. This one could be like there could have been the 3rd issue, but it's really Spider-Man doubling, or Peter Parker doubling down on the symbiote. It's him just almost just justifying that he can go like super brutal. There's a great moment with Kingpin being like, yo, I'm fucking scared. Like, before, I knew that heroes had their code and that they would stop themselves and they wouldn't do anything. But now that Spider-Man killed Hobgoblin, yo, we should be fucking scared.
That's
and rightfully so.
great.
Like, I want Spider-Man pops into the Daily Bugle up on JJ and like holds his hand up against like the wall and like crushes it through. And like literally like by the end of it, and like keeps holding on to it until like, you gotta fucking stop making me look bad, dude. As he's literally crushing his hand and like fingers are like dysmorphing and he's just like, ow. So
but does he do the dance? That is the question. Does he do the Spider-Man 3 little dance? That's the real question.
There's no dance. There's a cool moment of like how he sleeps with the symbiote, if you want to see that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mary Jane pops in on him and like, yo, we haven't talked in a while, and this is why. He's too busy with the symbiote.
He's too busy with the symbiote. See, I always liked Peter Parker's relationship with the symbiote. I had a friend who was really, really into Venom, and she used to show me stories of like the old like Spider-Man, where it's like the symbiote, and it'd be like crawling down the stairs and be like, "Why don't you love me? Like, come back and love me." And I'm like, that alone would make me want to read symbiote stories. But I struggle with older comics, and I'm like, I know this is doing a darker part of it, but I'm like, I get that vibe where it's like they have this bond now and they just won't break apart. I'm like,
in this one, yeah, the instance where you said it, that was emotionally damaged symbiote that Peter Parker did not deserve that symbiote. Let's just be real. Like, God, Eddie Brock does like deserve the symbiote. So I just like to quickly, I just like finish this issue off. Yeah, Kingpin was right. Everybody should be fucking scared of Spider-Man, because Spider-Man does show up on Kingpin and be like, yo, those goofs you sent me, here's Scorpion's tail, here's Shocker's arms. Have fucking fun. I'll see you later.
Oh, he's going full badass mode.
Oh, he's going full badass mode.
I love this.
There's a little moment where like a new Sinister Six is forming, and then I'm sure that'll just be for the next 2 issues. But right now, Peter Parker is not taking any shit.
He's not taking shit. I love that. Love that for him. Love that. You go, Peter Parker.
Are you reading Heroes Reborn?
Yes, if we're going to talk about Heroes Reborn, I feel like, and I see Amazing Shutterbug, we need to talk about Heroes Reborn first, and then we should get into Shutterbug, because that's the way I read it.
I haven't read it yet.
Oh, okay.
Tread lightly with spoilers, but I really do want to know what to expect from Hero. So I haven't read Heroes Reborn issue 2.
Wait, didn't that just come out last week? Is it a weekly book?
Mm-hmm.
They're back to back on this one, on this event.
Oh, yikes.
And they're doing like the trade-in, or not trade-ins, the
yeah, they're all one-shots.
Spin-offs. Yeah.
So Marvel literally lost a year, or at least like when there was like the comic freeze, they lost half a year of their scheduling, and there was 3 big events that should have came out like a while ago, and I feel like they're just starting to catch up on like the schedule that they had. I think that's why this event is coming out like really weekly. So in that case, Jan, my recommendation is to read Heroes Reborn 2 first, and then into Amazing Shutterbug, because there's gonna be this weird where like, oh, I know what they're doing here, and then you get the Shutterbug issue, and you're like, oh fuck, like that was fucked up. But I do want to talk about Heroes Reborn, because I did catch last week's episode, and I guess talked about Heroes Reborn. I get it. I understand the hate. But let me just give you a little backstory here on Heroes Reborn. It's supposed to be on purpose. It's supposed to be on the nose, trying to make fun of the other side. Once upon a time,
I love this story time! Yay!
There was an event over on Marvel. I'm pretty sure it was Onslaught with the X-Men. I don't want to say it was Age of Apocalypse, but it was like definitely mutant related, changed up the whole world. When we came back to the norm, it was supposed to be, or the big event was Heroes Reborn. And the first iteration was, the team was by Jim Lee and, I'm sorry I mentioned this name on the show, Jen, and Mars, but it was, and Rob Liefeld. So those two were paired up to make Heroes Reborn. 2 issues in, basically by the 3rd issue, because it wasn't selling, because it wasn't doing a good job, douchebag face Rob Liefeld decides to go deuces on Jim Lee, and Jim Lee had to do it all by himself, and thus thus tanking even more, even though it was Jim Lee. And so it was Onslaught, thanks. So it became this huge thing where it's like, it's just looked frowned upon. Heroes Reborn just sucks, and now Jason Aaron is taking it over, or like bringing it back, and now it's like, shit, I don't want to say, fuck it. It is for the better, because the first one did suck. But this one, so it looks very vibrant, it's very colorful, it looks very hopeful, like Heroes Reborn. But we've just been getting these dark ass issues. At least like the first issue was just like, let's just set it up. But in this one, once you start reading like Heroes Reborn 2 and then into Amazing Shutterbug, you're like, fuck, they're just telling this like grim story on this like super pretty face. And
that's honestly, like, I'm flipping through right now, just flipping through Amazing Shutterbug, and the colors are just so, like, you're right, they're so vibrant. It reminds me of Invincible. The artwork reminds me of Invincible, the way that it's very bright. Yeah. That being said, I didn't love Volume 1 of Invincible, but that's
a whole other story.
Yeah.
So that's my recommendation right now. Read them in that order, because like it does, when you're reading Heroes Reborn, you're gonna see like the whole like Hyperion and Peter Parker, the Shutterbug, being like, oh, they're totally doing Superman and Jimmy Olsen. And then you read Shutterbug and you're like, wow, okay, Marvel is just like literally just like toying with us right now. Squadron Supreme was the other one that came out this week too. I didn't get that tie-in to Heroes Reborn.
I feel like I don't know, I get burnt out with all of these, and I was super late at the shop this week, so just I feel like I failed on like picking up half my books. But okay, so read Heroes Reborn number 2. I'll probably need to go back and read Heroes Reborn number 1, read Heroes Reborn number 2, read Shutterbug, Amazing Shutterbug.
At least in that order, and then it just, there's a little feeling where you're just like, oh damn, like because Marvel is trying to like just jab and poke that fun again towards DC, especially with these heroes like Nighthawk. I mean, for sure
that's Batman.
It's Batman for sure. And Power Princess, I fucking hate the name. I seriously hate the name, but obviously Wonder Woman.
She's Pillow Princess. Listen, I can't look at that name without reading it as Pillow Princess. I'm sorry. I
you know, if I get Pillow Talk with Pillow Princess, I'll take it.
This is the Marvel book we need.
Big same. Big same.
Was there any other Marvel book that you picked up, or was that it?
Ooh. It's like I can go over it quickly, but it's giant size Amazing Spider-Man King's Ransom.
Okay.
It's like this last arc was called King's Ransom, and instead of like numbering the finale with the 66, they just made a giant size for it to just like just to bring it all together. And I mean it's a bunch of stuff that kind of has been going on with Spider-Man, literally 65 issues worth of stuff to come together. I mean, it's for this one, but it was fun. If you missed Bendis' New Avengers a run, there's a sweet little cameo of
full screen.
There's a sweet cameo of all like the grounded superheroes, or all the ground superheroes of New York joining Spider-Man, even Luke Cage saying Avengers Assemble again, which was a nice treat.
That's nice.
There's like a good joke, because like they all do show up to help Spider-Man, And when Hawkeye's like, I mean, yeah, this is all cool. I love the new Avengers reunion, or is it a Defenders reunion? And to which Wolverine is like, can't be Defenders. I never did that. Yeah, you did. Ah, hell, you're right. And it's like, I love a joke because like Wolverine's on every team. But yeah, it's Spider-Man just like doing his shit. And what did really mess me up about this book was another running gag or a running thing in Nick Spencer's Spider-Man run. I'm looking down on myself right now. It's because Boomerang has become a thing in Spider-Man, like Marvel's Boomerang. Like he's become Peter Parker's roommate. So much so he's become his friend and close enough to his best fucking friend. And I wasn't buying it. I wasn't buying it. It's like, there's no fucking way. He's a sleazy scumbag. And it wasn't until the last issue where he leaves Peter Parker a note being like, yeah, you're my best friend, bro. And it's like, oh, maybe he did finally turn around. And the piece of shit finally just like actually turns on this one. And like, yeah, everything I knew was right. He just betrays Spider-Man again.
You were betrayed.
And I was betrayed.
I feel like you were betrayed more than Peter Parker was betrayed.
I was, because I mean I was preaching it. Yeah, I did trust him. My co-host Keith was like, every time I was like, oh, I love Boomerang. That's awesome. That's great. But I'm like, no, dude, it's not gonna happen. And sure enough, he sure betrays him. And even there's like the scene at the end where he's like at the bar with all the villains, and he looks down and it's like, yeah, I'm kind of like doing like, I'm still sad. I did what I wanted to do, but it's like the wrong thing. But I'm like, no, fuck that shit. Wallow in it, piece of shit. You made me sad. I bought it. I trusted you.
I love that so much. I know
love
that, like you said, pretty much wrapped up like everything that's been going on. So I feel like there's a part of me where I'm like, wow, I really want to read that, but I know that it literally just wraps up like 10 arcs of Spider-Man. Well, I
mean, not the whole 10 arcs. It's definitely for sure like the King's Ransom arc that's been going for like the last 4 issues, and it just ties into like to this one, so it doesn't have to like bleed over to like the next numbering. But it's just like the thing about that Nick Spencer has been doing with this Spider-Man run is that he's really just been giving life or giving light to so many of Spider-Man's rogues that are like DC like E-list like villains that are just like,
yes, but is there big wheel?
Was there?
If there's not big wheel, then I don't want it.
Okay, but you do get Mountain Man Marco, which you have not seen or heard of probably ever. Yeah, Mountain Man Marco is just like a big fucking like muscle man for the mob, and there's really nothing special about him. But he came out in the 70s and was just one of the rogues. And Nick Spencer just decided like, hey, when's the last time everybody used him? And like, yeah, not forever. Is he still alive? Sure. I'll use him. And that's what Nick Spencer has been doing. He's just really just been bringing life to like so many of like he basically has not been recycling the same villains, the same stories over and over that Smash Mouth did. But I just have a whole thing with that man altogether that I rather won't get into this episode. But if you want to catch up with King's Ransom, I think it's like the last at least 4 issues numbered wise, and then it ends with King's Ransom, and then it's about to start over with the new arc.
Got it. One thing that I was just thinking about, because we were talking about like the giant size X-Men. How do you feel about this new X-Men event coming out? Like I see it keep getting the planet-sized X-Men, because they're like, well, first there was issue 1, and then there was giant-sized X-Men. Well, now we're going to do the biggest thing ever. We're going to do planet-sized X-Men. Like, what are we going to get in 10 years? Like galaxy-sized X-Men.
Oh, galaxy brain X-Men.
Then
the whole solar system of mutants.
Yeah. Which to me, that felt like House of X, Powers of X, because we get the big like Nimrod thing. So anyways, how do you feel about planet-sized X-Men?
Well, I mean, they're comparing it to the classic giant-sized X-Men, and that one really did redefine the well, hi. No, I wasn't putting quotes. I was saying hi to the person. I mean the giant-sized X-Men really did revolutionize the X-Men run, as we know, with like expanding the team and giving color to the team. But then this planet-sized X-Men, and it's like, I honestly don't know what to expect, because I'm still partying over at the Hellfire Gala. So, yes, my buddy Keith, who I've been mentioning, won a bid by Jed MacKay, comic book writer. Jed MacKay was auctioning off for charity his Hellfire Gala invitation that comic book writers have been getting. And my good buddy Keith won the bid, so he got an invitation and he's going, so that's fun. Turns out Jed McKay sent him 2 tickets. I'm going. I get to go. I get to speak about the Hellfire Gala in the first person. I can't wait to just like be a thing. I'm gonna have that friend like right here, it's gonna be like right here, and be like, yes, I went.
That's so exciting. Cool. Like, explain to me how, like, what is that gonna look like?
I mean, it's literally just like a little like pamphlet, a little like invitation, like this big, and it just has all the goodies. That's like basically like, hey, be there at Krakoa. Emma Frost sent this, be there at this time. It's just like all the goodies that's just like a super like little nerd collective that only like comic book writers are going to be able to get.
There's a part of it that said, well, I think that I saw that Nick from Books with Pictures posted one, and then at the bottom, and it's funny because one of my favorite X-Men, I love Jubilee so much, and he's like, I don't like Jubilee. And at the end, on like the little invitation, it says that it gives you like a rundown of the event, and it says at the end there's going to be a fireworks display, and I'm like, Jubilee, like. So anyways,
it's like Nick. It's like Nick, you wouldn't be there for the Jubilee fireworks show, really.
All right, so let's go ahead, and if that's the only other thing I picked up from Marvel was I'm not even reading Fantastic Four. I just wanted this Peach Momoko.
Oh, that's such a really nice cover. I didn't even see that one.
I don't even know what the fuck is going on with Dr. Doom getting married or whatever, but
he's not getting married to me, that's for damn sure. Dr. Doom.
If someone knows what's going on, let me know.
Well, I mean, it is a secret bride, and we don't know who the bride is. Maybe the bride is me.
Yeah, you're just like toying with this right now.
Yeah.
So I did have the other 2 X-Men books. Children of the Atom was okay. It's just I need more information. Just like, I know they're not mutants, but I want to like believe that they're not either. But X Factor, oh my god,
this is almost the end of the run, right?
Don't say that.
I'm sorry.
No, it is, but I don't want it to be.
I have the first trade sitting on my TBR stack. I just haven't been able to read it yet.
It's amazing. It makes no fucking sense why it should be ending. It makes no sense why it's ending or why it should be ending, and it's not fair. Like, this is one of the best of the Dawn of X books. It probably is the best one of the best jumping on book.
Yes.
You don't need the history of Excalibur to follow Excalibur as you do. Marauders, exactly. This is like, if you just want like a random ensemble of mutants and them doing their job, X Factor is the fucking book. And
it's very like, it's queer. It's so
gay.
It's so
That's
gay.
What I've seen.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to cry because I do have to show, but like it literally ends in one of the gayest panels of all time. And then I'm just gonna show you parts to start crying.
That was it.
Okay, so I'm gonna blow it up.
Julio, my love. And if you know any history between Julio and Shatterstar, this should not be ending.
I love that.
At this point, I'll go for it.
I would say, do you think that like X Factor's ending, something else gonna pick up?
I mean, that's really been like the speculation. It's like, how can this book come back? Because there's no fucking reason why it should end, and especially with the cliffhanger like that, you cannot just wrap up those last 2 lines, those last 3 words with just one issue. Hell, fucking no. My thing, if we are gonna speculate, is like the one thing that I was really bummed out about Marvel and spoiling just because of solicitations is what's gonna happen at the Hellfire Gala. The trial of Magneto. It was like, you know what? I could have not had that. We could have all had fun at the Hellfire Gala and then save that, be like, oh shit, and then remember when somebody died there instead of just expecting it now. That being said, the whole trial of Magneto is being written by Leah Williams, and the whole X Factor team is being involved to do the trial. So my only hope is that this book is just being put to a pause, because the trial of Magneto is going to be like a 5-issue run. And then we can come back to this instead of like expecting the next X Factor the next month when they're busy doing the trial, you know?
Yeah.
Other than that, there's no reason why this book should end. I'm like literally bummed out that like I had to say goodbye to this book. I on issue 10 again, like it's A-Force all over again at issue 10, and it sucks. It's just like it's undeserving compared to so many books that are out there that are literal garbage.
Literal garbage.
Any more Marvel books?
No,
I
that
know,
for sure was it.
I'm sure Mars is like itching to talk about DC.
And I only have 3 DC books this week, but there's one that I have lots. Actually, there's 2 I have lots. 3 I have lots of feelings.
What were the DC books that you got?
Yeah.
All right, I'll save the biggest one for last.
Okay.
So Wonder Woman 772 came out this week.
Oh, I wanted that cover so bad too. I almost got it too.
I listen, I loved the first issue so much. What was it? 771?
770.
Like, 770? Yeah, 770, you're right. I read 770 like 4 times and could not get enough of it. And now I feel like we're falling right back into traditional Wonder Woman convoluted BS. I'm like, where's the characterization? Where's the fun? I mean, we start to see her sort of, she finally gets called Wonder Woman and something kind of strikes in her. And I still get those Heathens vibe that I really like. Again, this is probably one of the best Wonder Woman books that we've had in a while, but at the same time, I'm like, where's that spark from the first issue? Where is that like fun that I had and that like joyous wonder? I will say though, Evil Diana could get it. She cute too. Gives me Red Sonja vibes there with the final arc of Red Sonja that Gail Simone did, where it was her kind of arguing with the dark part of herself. I don't know. I just want more from this book, so we'll see after this arc how it's gonna go. I might have to drop it off the pool because it's $6 an issue, and I'm like,
$5. Oh yeah,
tax.
I can't do that. I don't have that type of cash. I mean, I do.
Yeah, that would hurt.
Yeah. Wow. I haven't read it yet, so I'm very curious to dip my toe into that.
Ooh, okay, cool. Because I was about to spoil like who calls her who calls her Wonder Woman.
You can kind of spoil it because I'm sure by the time I actually like get to it, I'm probably gonna have forgotten. So.
Oh, I mean, like if you've been reading it, like these scenes, these black and white scenes, we finally get the reveal of who's been talking to her, and that was more of a this part.
Yeah, that was a very. I was not expecting that. I thought it was going to be Spectre, and it wasn't.
Right. So it was a cool reveal of who it was, and it's like, oh, cool. And again, just like, and I don't have like my own Wonder Woman collected run, so I was like, for sure, like I kind of want this. I need to see this through till 800 to see like if it was worth it
and see where it's going. 100%.
Did either of you end up picking up Joker?
Oh no.
Okay. What do I look like? Listen.
So here's the thing: is that
does she show up again? How much does she show up? Does she show up in more than one panel?
Who?
You know who.
You know who.
Oh,
you know who.
I don't recall. This
then she
book
doesn't.
is
it's
such
fine.
a to me, like, yes, there are some like Joker moments, but this book is so much more, and it's definitely about it's so much more about Jim Gordon than anything else. Like, to me, this is not a Joker book whatsoever. I do wish that it was branded as a Jim Gordon book, but it definitely isn't.
I don't think it would have gotten the sales it did if it was branded as a Jim Gordon book.
No.
I think they used that Joker pool with them crazy ass fans he's got.
But it's James Tynion, right?
Yes, and Guillaume March, who's doing Carmen.
Oh, cool! Yeah, that's pretty cool. I feel like it would sell. I feel like it actually. The reason why I'm not getting it is because of its title. And if it was titled Jim Gordon book, like when have we ever had that?
Yeah,
almost never.
Never.
I feel like I for sure. I think I would have jumped on that book more, especially hearing that this is James's best Batman book right now.
Oh, there she is. There's my wife.
Yeah, she shows up a little bit towards. Sorry, she shows up a little bit towards the end. Yeah.
And it's just like from what I hear, I'm not straight up. It's not my opinion that it's Joker's his best Batman book, but it's just really what I generally hear right now, especially with his direction with Batman and how long it's taking to just tell shit.
I do agree with that because I feel like with like Batman, what are we on? Batman 108 now, and I feel like I'm getting all of the timelines mixed up. But I think that like right now with the timelines over at DC, like it doesn't fucking matter. Just pick a book and read it.
There are no timelines right now.
There are no timelines.
No, because speaking of timelines, we got this little buddy that came out this week. Future State Gotham which is supposed to be in Future State. Oh my fucking
We're back to Future State.
all right.
Can I tell you what this should actually be called?
Go for it.
This should be called Future State Neo Tokyo Gotham. This is 100% an Akira book.
Yeah. But like a rip-off in a bad way?
I think I'm telling you.
No, in a bad way.
No, this is a good way.
What?
A rip-off in a good way.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
All right, let me get my guns out. Here
this is why I'm here. This is literally why I'm here. Awesome.
All right. Listen, I don't know who I need to sell my soul to for Jason Todd to get one fucking good book. I just want a good Jason Todd book. I will say this book confirmed the couple that I have been wanting since I knew that they existed. So I will thank Joshua Williamson for finally confirming that Jason Todd and Rose Wilson are dating. Listen, why these two weren't dating years ago, I have no fucking clue. They're both disaster bisexuals. Like, just put them together. So thank you for that. That being said, listen, look, you see how colorful this shit is? You see how bright this shit is? I opened this morning, so excited to read this, and got this. What the fuck? I had to do a triple take. I'm like, wait a minute. This book is in black and white? I'm like, no. There's no fucking way. We got this gorgeous ass city. It's beautiful. I'm thinking we're going to get some like Simeon DeMeo. We only find them when we're dead ass art. And then we get black and white, and not even good black and white. It just feels like boring ass pencils. Like, I'm like, Mars. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And like, they have the nerve, the absolute audacity to make this Jason Todd my favorite Jason Todd with a little white tuff. Yeah. I have been wanting white tough Jason Todd to return to me forever, and he finally came back. But at what cost? At what
all
cost?
White. That's
black
too much
and white, boring ass, and then it ends with him fighting, and I'm like, I don't fuck this shit. I'm done. I want a good Jason Todd book. I don't ask for a lot. I just want a good Jason Todd book.
The black and white aspect is what made me interested in the book, actually.
I'm telling you right now, like, and here's the thing, is that I am not invested in like so many characters like that. Like, maybe that's why I enjoyed it. So seriously, like, take a look at Akira, take a look at Future State.
It's the same fucking book.
It's very, very similar. And I think another thing that I really, really did love about this is that we do get this little like Mobius.
Oh God, the Mobius Batman was so cool.
And we also, so hear me out, we also get a story by Katsuhiro Otomo, who did Akira. So
oh wait, what?
To me,
so this was like an homage to it.
Yes, in the back, there's a story called The Third Mask, and by Katsuhiro Otomo. And I'm telling you, don't think of this book as like a Future State book. Think of this as a Batman Gotham love letter to Akira.
That's cool. I definitely need to get my hands on it now.
It's definitely, I do think that me trashing it is because I went into this book expecting one thing and wanting one thing and didn't get that. So because of that, I'm going to be a little pissy crybaby because at this point, I'm fully convinced that until I get a book where Jason Todd is just an absolute disaster bisexual, I just won't be happy. So it's fine. And I've accepted that fact. But I think now that you've said that, I think once it's compiled, maybe I'll go back and look at it as that love story to Akira rather than,
I think,
you know.
For this, like, I went in with zero expectations, and I even saw it on Comics Hub, and I was like, wait, I thought Future State was over, and I'm like, did I miss something? Is this just like a cover that I missed that's coming out late, like a second or third printing that I just missed? It wasn't, and so I literally went in with zero expectations, had no clue what it was going to do, and then as I was reading it, I'm pretty sure that the theme music to Akira was playing in my brain. The dun 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 dun, like, you know, that sounded more like ABBA than Akira. But 100% read it as a love letter to Akira. Nice. And I think that you'll enjoy it more.
I will get in that way because when it came down to Future State, I didn't get any Batman books. They were just overpriced and just too long when other books deserved the 4 issues over the 2.
Yeah. I agree. When it came to Future State, the books that I enjoyed the most were not the Batman books, and the Batman books should have easily been the most solid, the most likable, the most talked about books, and I feel like they weren't whatsoever. Like for me, I loved Superman versus Imperious Lex, and I would have never read that if it wasn't just for me being a dumb bitch and picking up all of them.
Yeah.
Did you any other books from DC? I've got 2.
It depends. Do you want to talk first? Because the last book I have, I'm going to talk 10 million years. So,
I got Challenge of the Super Sons. The boys are back in time.
Nice.
Boys are back in time.
I have no clue what's going on, but I like it. Like, I dig it. I feel like it was an easy read. I really don't have too much to say other than like it was just kind of fun. I had 0 expectations with this. I liked the banter between the two, and yeah, Robin.
They have an excellent relationship. Like John and Damian being literal foils, like their fathers are, but I like the fact that compared to Clark with Bruce, John won't take Damian's shit. He's just like, shut up, you're being annoying, leave me alone. And I'm like,
thank God.
That's a good boy. That's a good boy right there.
I wish Soups would do that sometimes. It would literally just shut up Bruce up. It'd be like, Superman, you're doing this. You can't be too good. Like, bro, stop. Shut the fuck up. And Bruce would be like, okay. I could just see Bruce being like, well, you never spoke to me like that before.
I want this.
I assume the book that you just want to dig into is going to be Festival of Heroes. So take it away, Mars.
How do I do this without crying?
Don't. Just cry.
Took 10.
Will break your heart.
It took 15 years, 13 years. But I finally got my boy back.
Oh.
Like, I finally got my boy back in continuity, being called Green Arrow, wearing the suit, with a fucking splash art by Cliff Chang, which just kind of hit me with nostalgia because Cliff Chang was on the Green Arrow Black Canary book, so he's very familiar with drawing Connor. But we get a lovely Connor Hawk and New Superman team up story. And I'm gonna be honest, I was actually surprised when I saw him in here, because Connor is biracial, and actually we now know he's triracial, because they really don't ever talk about his Asian heritage in previous comics. You know, they always talk about how he's, he had a black mother and his father was white, obviously being Green Arrow, but that he grew up with the monks and the Buddhist monks over in Asia. And I figured, okay, that's where some of his Asian influences came in. But in this book, and this story is written by Greg Pak, who I absolutely love. I love Greg Pak. It's confirmed that he is half Korean, or I guess a quarter Korean. He's quarter black, quarter Korean, and half white. And it kind of felt good to like solidify where he's from. Not only that, but he's got a relationship with the new Superman that seems a little gay.
Ooh, spicy.
I'm like, can we confirm this, please? But having Connor Hawk and knowing, him showing up in Robin and things like that, this is Connor to me. This is what I've missed from him. And it was just good to see him witty and sort of level-headed and like do his own thing. But this entire book had lots of stuff. We've had Mariko Takamaki on Black Bat, and it wasn't the Black Bat that we've been seeing in Batman, like Orphan, whatever. This was Cassandra Cain Black Bat in her masked outfit interacting with Oracle. It felt very pre-boot. Same with, there's a story in here with Grace Choi, and Grace Choi is somebody we haven't seen since the New 52. It was like fucking DC Comics was like, all right, you dumb bitch, you've been bitching the whole time that these characters are missing. Let me just give them all back to you. But one of the biggest ones, and I feel like this is like a retcon. Also, sorry, people think that it's okay to mow their lawns at 2:00 in the afternoon. There's a story in here with Catwoman and Cheshire Cat, who we find out is Leanne Harper. which is Arsenal's daughter. So she's another big part of the Green Arrow family. And that's another character I haven't seen in 15 years. And they're kind of changing things where they've aged her up a little. And now she's going to become this like sidekick to Catwoman. And that's not where I ever expected her to go. But I'm like, at this point, I'm going to take what I can get. Also, yes, reread Judd Winnick's run because I do it once a year. And it's my favorite. Listen, it's my favorite run of all time. Nothing will ever compare to that run ever. But this was just like a lot of fun. There was a lot of really great stories compared to, like, for example, the Women of Marvel anthology we got, which was absolute trash. This was a lot of fun. We got some really great pinups, some really great stories. And then I really, really like in the back, there's actually, they had a whole page, you know, representation matters, stop Asian hate, places that you can donate, things that you can do, and how to support and educate yourself. But then they had all of these really cool bios to Asian American heroes that were featured in the book, or just, I think some of them weren't. Because, like, I don't remember seeing Lady Shiva and I don't remember seeing Dr. Light, but it gives you, like, little backstories and first appearances. And I just think that that's really, really cool because if you're featuring, and I feel like all anthology stories should do this, because if somebody reads it, like a casual reader reads this book and wants to know more about that character, it makes it really easy to be like, okay, let me go here, here, and here and continue my reading. So I think this is my favorite anthology from either DC or Marvel yet, because it showcased a lot of my favorite characters. Okay, rant over. But Connor Hawke is back, and that's all that matters. And then I get the Green Arrow special next month, and I feel blessed. I'm very blessed.
You know, it's so funny that you related this book to the other Women of Marvel that came out 3 weeks ago.
I think so, yeah.
Ago, and it was horrible. I fucking hated Women of Marvel so much. And to me, like, I haven't read this, but I'm stupid excited to go read it now. Like, just kind of flipping through it a little bit more intensely just now, for that very reason. The thing that I don't like about some of these anthologies is that this shouldn't be a one shot. I mean, granted, like, this was $10. You do get a lot of book for $10 right here, but I wish that this was an ongoing series, and I wish that they would fully flesh out some of these characters.
Like, give some of these characters their own ongoing series. I agree 100%.
Yeah,
that's on DC's part, though. We all know it.
And I do wish that they were almost treating this. Are either of you reading the other side of the DC universe, or the other history of the DC universe?
Not yet. I'm going to trade read that.
It's been pretty darn good. So I feel like there's just as much information in this as one of those. So I wish that they're, because one of the last issues they did Katana, which I thought was great. So maybe they'll continue that on. But this does look really good. Your review was just great just now.
My rant, my cry.
Yeah. All right. Anything else that anyone picked up?
I bought some Hulk history. Because I am trade waiting on, where are they? Over here. So they're hidden from the Something's Killing Children Mask. But I'm collectively trading and waiting for the Immortal Hulk series to end. At this point, I am buying the floppies for these last 10 issues because I think it's supposed to end on 50th. But the hardcovers, I'm for sure collecting those so I can actually just expand it out. But my partner is reading Immortal Hulk, so it's kind of like, but she's not an avid comic book reader, so some parts where it's like, shit, there's a lot of history here I don't understand, I don't know about. So I'm like, you know what? I bought collected sets of the Jason Aaron into Mark Waid's run, because other ones I've been wanting to read for, like, it was like happened like in the mid 2010s of like the Indestructible Hulk and the stuff that happened there into Civil War II when he ultimately died. And then he kind of came back, and it's kind of like the lead up into that, as well as the giant trade for Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four, the collected series.
Yep. That didn't, like, that big omnibus just come out, or like there was a big thick boy that just came out for the Fantastic Four, right?
It was an omnibus to again, the other one I actually have right here that I'm still waiting to read is Annihilation Conquest.
Okay.
That's the one that had a variant wraparound too for it too. But it was the Jonathan Hickman Fantastic Four run. They're doing like these same completed sets in trades, reprinting them finally, because that was actually a series I really wanted in a hardcover omnibus after a while, and they stopped being out of print. You look them up on Amazon, and these omnibuses go up to $300-$400 just because they're out of print. And now it's Jonathan Hickman. So I gave up on that goal altogether, and then they started doing these collected sets for his run. But like at this point, 3 years ago is when the first one came out. The second one came out last year, or at this point 2 years ago now. And there wasn't one last year. And then finally we get the third one. I think it's supposed to have like one more, but I had like the whole Jonathan Hickman FF run, but that finally came out, and it's been on my reading list.
Very nice. I know that I feel like they're doing the same thing with All New Wolverine, the X-23 All New Wolverine. Like those trades are so hard to get. Like they are not printing them anymore, and then like the big ones coming out. I did pick up a couple of different like back issues and variant covers, but I did want to show these off because I did just get them. I did pick up a back issue of Swamp Thing. I love that background, issue 43 right there. So I thought that was really pretty. And I picked up Swamp Thing issue number 33, which is a throwback to that House of Secrets. So
really cool.
Yep. I ended up picking up those two. But I did pick up a whole bunch of trades as well.
As you always do.
As I do. And I 100% blame you, Mars, because you messaged me and you're like, hey, Howells has this, so go ahead and pick up Road
I
Queen.
did. I was sitting at work looking at Pals and noticed that Road Queen was in stock and was like, Jen needs to go pick this up. So
and then
I am to blame for that one. Only that one though.
No,
only that one.
I'm here to blame you for all of these.
Can't take credit for those ones, pal.
Okay, I'll blame you too, Mars.
Yeah. So I did go ahead. I've actually never read this book, and I probably should have because it's like 20 years old at this point. But Blankets by Craig Thompson. So I did go ahead and pick up a used copy of that. And once again, never read it. I just need to read everything by Ram V. So I picked up Paradiso 1 and 2. So I'm gonna.
Who published Paradiso?
Yeah.
It wasn't Vault. It was Image actually.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Then I also picked up this because it was used. So Queer, a Graphic History. So I picked up that. I also picked up Ultimate Daredevil and Elektra.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Cool.
I just read that, and it's so good and so wishy-gushy.
Greg Rucka. So that was pretty cool. I also picked up this big boy, which I thought was fun, and it's A People's History of American Empire by Howard Zinn, who did A People's History of the United States, but this one's a comic book. And then last but not least, I did also pick up The Sleep of Reason, which is a Iron Circus, which also does a lot of this smut peddler, but it's a horror anthology. So picked up all those books.
I have 3 library books that I picked up, which I'm like, why did you pick these up? Because you're going to be playing video games nonstop for at least another 2 weeks. But these came in on hold for me, and they're 3 that I've been ridiculously excited about. So I'm finally going to get to read Deceased. My library finally got it in, so I'm really excited. Because I remember reading the first issue when it came out and kind of hating it, which I'm like, blasphemy, it's Tom Taylor. You love everything Tom Taylor makes. So I'm excited to read that. Hawkeye Freefall. This was one I was reading by single issues, and then it got weird during the pandemic and never finished it. So I'm excited to just read the trade. And then finally, because everybody's literally been yelling at me to read it, literally yelling at me, Chip Zdarsky's
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So I knew Josue was going to be like,
so good.
It's about time. So, and I really want to see Elektra become Daredevil. So I'm like, I have this really weird thing with runs where it's like I have to read from the beginning or else I'm not reading it at all. I'm just, and it's like weird like that.
What, like 29?
It's like issue 29. So I'm like, okay, that's not too bad. So I'm really, really excited because I have literally heard nothing but good things. and I'm starting to get really into Daredevil and Elektra. So,
God, like, the purist in me is being like, okay, you got to start the Mark Waid run, and then the Charles Soule run, and then it goes into this one, and then you're gonna appreciate it. It's gonna be so much better. Oh God! But if you will start
baby
here,
steps,
so
baby steps,
baby
and
steps.
then I'll go back and then I'll reread it. Baby steps. I still need to get my hands on the Donny Cates Venom run because that's the other one that everybody keeps yelling at me about. Because apparently, I wear a Venom shirt and don't read Venom, and I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
As much of a, like, I do buy these like trades and things like that. I really love the Marvel Unlimited app for that because some of those stuff that I would not necessarily go and browse for, like picking up like all of those Daredevil runs would not be something that I would necessarily do. It's super easy to go ahead and just like read the back issues on the Marvel Unlimited, and I feel like that's what I do in like my spare time, or if I'm on like a little break, like I'll go ahead and read that. But at the same time, reading a physical book gets me away from looking at my phone, so then I'm not getting distracted because that happens all the time.
Facts.
I did have one more thing.
Yes.
I did find this lovely beaut.
Hold on, I'm gonna.
What is that? She cute.
Or actually, I didn't find it. My partner did. And this was found.
Danzig.
Yeah, Glenn Danzig, drunk Contessa of Blood.
Ooh.
This was found, like I said, by my partner over at the lovely place that is Cosmic Monkey.
I went there yesterday.
Yeah, Cosmic Monkey is the best. And if it doesn't feel as it still does, but if it doesn't feel like as much as a museum as it once did, it's our fault. We got so much shit off their walls, like especially last year, like during the pandemic. We're just like also just to be able to support them when we couldn't go inside. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if to anybody that goes into Cosmic Monkey, if it doesn't feel the same, it's mostly our fault. I have all the black sads that are like right here, all the big ones, the originals. Anytime they pick up black sad. And like even in their foreign section, for like I have black sad in French and Spanish, and it's like so proud of that collection growing too. The giant little Nemo book that they had in the back corner, it's mine now. So yeah, all those little cool stuff that you don't see anymore, I have them, and this being one now. I would show you a page, like I'll show. I just want to show you the font that they use for this one.
Spicy? Is it a spicy book?
Oh, it's so fucking spicy.
I'm gonna.
We like the spicy.
But I gotta be careful with what. Yeah, because this is like the actual page. But hold on. See, like that kind of font.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's just different. But I can't show you the pictures because TOS. Maybe post I'll show you to the pictures.
Yeah.
But it's really cool. I would never expect to find a Glenn Danzig comic book like this.
There is a book. It's not done by Glenn Danzig, but there is a book called Glenn and Henry Forever. That is about a like fictional romance between Glenn Danzig and Henry Rollins, and it's really, really adorable. I
ship that so hard now.
Yeah. I'll see if I can. I'm not seeing it like right here. Man, I feel like
I'm just visualizing it now, and they're both verse. God, this is so beautiful.
Okay, wait 1 second. I'm gonna. Yeah.
Josue just wants it.
Yeah, I mean, I would just. I need my tapes. I need to see the tapes. I'm just picturing it. It's like they both switch, and it's like it's a beautiful relationship. And
I love it. I told you we speak freely here on the show.
It's big fucking burly Danzig, but it's also fucking Henry Rollins. So it's like they're gonna take turns.
And Jen has now disappeared. So have you been reading while we wait for Jen to return? Have you been reading anything fun or interesting?
Yeah, so I mean, like this whole backside is literally everything I'm behind.
Don't tell me that's your TBR stack.
Huh?
Is that your TBR stack?
Yes.
Oh,
and might as well shame myself by like having overbeared down on me and like getting into it. That's why I brought Sunstone. Yeah, and that's why I brought up Sunstone.
What's behind you? That's your TBR stack?
Yes. So I can just look down on me in shame and be like, I'll get to you. That's why I brought up Sunstone earlier, because like the next thing I'm reading right now.
Got it.
As well as like the thing that my partner wants me to read first and foremost is all of Berserk. I swear everything is compared to Berserk apparently, and I need to know why.
So I did find this.
That is so fucking beautiful. So much better I thought it was gonna be.
This is apparently the second one. This is not the first one. Now the art on the inside is a little bit more like, it's kind of like precious, but it's like day to day in the life of Henry and Glenn.
Little chibi Glenn dance.
Yeah. Like them eating breakfast together in the morning and just, you know, shenanigans. Yeah. Man, so we're a little bit past the 2-hour mark. So I think it's probably about time to wrap up. I know we talked a little bit about it before, but like, Josue, where can people find you? I know like you're definitely way active on Twitter.
Yes.
And all the other fun things that you do. I'll go ahead and pump you up. There you go.
Yes. On Twitter, as you can see on my name right here, Josue reads Josue. It's really where I'm mostly active. I host at Jukebox Vertigo, the show Jukebox Vertigo, and I co-host as we talk about comics, as like here, which is super lovely. Over on We Have Issues is the name of that show. But I guess my one recommendation, one last thing I can recommend is my favorite album right now, music-wise, is Harakiri for the Sky is the name of the band, and the album Mare, which is their new one, is awesome. It's literally like my album of the year. It's such a great fucking metal album, and I can't stop talking about this album. But other than that, yeah, my stuff, Jukebox Vertigo, We Have Issues, me, Josue reads Josue.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it because you and I bump into we're at the same shop every Wednesday. I mean, now scheduled a little bit different, but like the one day, seriously, when you came up and you're like, hey, Jennifer, like, and I literally, like, I think I text Mars and I'm like, I'm crying right now. Like, this feels so special. I love it so much. So thank you for like saying hi, and I'm so glad that we get to briefly talk about comics each week. And thank you for being here with Mars and I. You're welcome back anytime.
Oh no, thank you guys so much for having me. It was just so much fun.
It's a blast.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And Mars, where can people find you on them internets?
You can find me at That Comic Girl on the YouTubes and on the Twitterverse, and then on Instagram at That Comic Girl with 3 L's, because there's a stinky doo-doo head that won't release my name and they make me mad. However, you're probably not going to find me for the next week because I'm too busy. I'm too busy in space. So I have been. Can you hear me in this?
Yes.
Testing?
Yeah.
Testing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I've basically been like Twitter, Instagram, you name it, comic silent for the past week, and will continue to be silent for about a week. But I'll be back at some point, guys. But yeah.
Just go stay space.
Yeah.
Stay in space.
Well, everyone, I hope you all have a wonderful, lovely Sunday day, Sunday night, whatever the fuck time it is there. But thank you for being here, and thank you for talking comics with us. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.